Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are getting all paranormal tonight because I'm just going to say it. I got a new best friend here tonight. Brand new. Talked to her for about 10 minutes and we're already like best buddies. Tawney Lewis is going to be our guest momentarily to talk all things ghostly and paranormal. We're going to have a great time with Tawney tonight. And we have each and every one of you hanging on out with us, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, Chris Laker with a silver, Kitty Caddywhack taking home a bronze medal tonight. Hi, Robert Lamoth. T-Bone, my man, that wrench is looking good on you, buddy. Looking good. Hi, Laura Labs. How are you? Brown Dwarf is returned. Brown Dwarf will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Eternity Eternal, Frankie B., Bar Madison, good to see you all tonight. Mel WD-40 is here. Mel's lubing us up for the tonight show. Why? Because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. Otherwise, if you don't lube it up, it doesn't end well. You don't want that rigidness. So Mel lubing us up with a WD-40 as we speak. Joanne, how are you? Karen in the Woo Train, nice to see you. Lee the Bee, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, how y'all doing? Good to have you here. Scrolling on down, we got S. Vermette. Paramarv has returned. There's Noble Patrick hanging on out. If you wave to Noble Patrick like this, he always waves back. Always. Doesn't matter where he is. At work, in the car, having a shower, he'll always wave back. Moving on down, Digger Dog. Nice to see you tonight. As we continue on with our roll call tonight, there's Cosmic Joe hanging on out. Phyllis Mouche Perry, nice to see you. How you doing, my friend? Scrolling on down, up next we have Operation Shutdown. Good to see you. Algaray over on Twitch, just catching his breath after doing 1,400 freestanding squats in under 3 minutes. This guy is jacked for tonight's show. Jacked. Kurt M., nice to see you. As we continue on with our roll call here tonight. And Necessary Dialogue, thank you for coming on in. Scanman, good to have you here. As we continue on with roll call, Matthew Goodka, nice to have you here. Marty Burback and the Legendary Hearts, right there. That's his band name. Marty Burback and the Legendary Hearts. It's going on stage in about 25 minutes. Make sure you catch the final set after our show. Scrolling on down. Who's next for us here? Well, it's Lisa Smith. Hi, Lisa. Richard Minnick, nice to see you. Scott's Life, good to have you here. And Stone Hobbit has returned. Stone Hobbit will be signing autographs after the show as well. Light up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Richard Minnick, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. Jay Truth Seeker, good to see you. And who's next on our list? Little Cam over on YouTube. He did 500 push-ups. 500 in 8 minutes. He wanted his beefcake bulging arms Beefcake bulging arms to be jacked up for tonight's show, and he's got it. Gory Tiger, nice to see you. Super Crazy, nice to have you here. And Robert Redmond's Clip Channel, nice to have you here. Thanks for coming on in. Welcome to SOR Chat. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate you tuning in. We're talking paranormal and supernatural events with intuitive and paranormal investigator Tawney Lewis tonight as we are continuing with our roll call as we speak. Once again, we want to remind everybody the Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on a nightly basis. Thank you, Richard, for kicking things off. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public and be very proud to wear it other than a garage sale or for painting. Mac Geek, how you doing tonight? Throw those horns up, everybody. It's that time. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out, Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find us on our website. We got an awesome show of paranormal all night long. Investigator from Hollywood, California, Tawney Lewis, is here to share her stories and encounters. Then, in hour 3, Swamp Dweller will be here for another spooky story. Robin Haynes, who's moved over from 2 nights from now to tonight, she will be here for the Cryptid Report. I'm excited for this one. I really am. We don't talk a lot of paranormal on this show, but when we do, we get guests like Tawney Lewis because they're awesome that way. Tawney is an experienced paranormal researcher and intuitive with countless investigations under her belt, including Old Montana State Prison, the Whaley House, and Bracken Fern Manor. In addition to her current credits, she will also be featured on a new paranormal series premiering this fall. On top of her investigation expertise, she also brings a fresh and diverse face to the world of paranormal, residing in Hollywood, California, hanging on out with us in British Columbia and around the world tonight. Tawney Lewis, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I am pumped up for tonight. We're like new best friends. We really are. I've already declared it, so you can't change that. Perfect. You know, because we just had an incredible paranormal conversation right before the show, before we came on air. But for you, I want to learn all about you. I do. I mean, you're an intuitive, you're a paranormal investigator. Has this been with you your entire life, or is this something that you grew into understanding that you had these abilities and had this inkling that there was something more out there?
Let's see. So when I was about 10 or 11 years old, I actually saw Spirit with my own, like I saw her in my room. What stood out about her is that she had blonde hair, blue eyes. She was kind of like a shimmery color. And I looked 3 times to make sure that I wasn't losing my mind. And she was still there. She started to fade away after the 3rd time. And so that was the first moment where it kind of piqued my interest. And I always tell people that even to this day, my biggest fear is the paranormal. I'm scared of ghosts. I'm scared of UFOs. I'm scared of cryptids. However, people fear what they don't know. And so as I got older, I started to become more intrigued. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to learn everything I can about all of this so that I understand it. I can talk to people about it. I can actually do investigations. And so that's kind of where it started. I've been a paranormal investigator for about 14 years. And then the intuitive side came in probably like 6 or 7 years ago. It's just a tool that I have in my back pocket because I genuinely enjoy investigating.
The fact that you had that experience at 10, it opened your eyes to
Mhm.
that there is possibilities of something else out there. Did you grow up in a religious family where, you were talking and realized that people go to heaven or they go to hell if they're bad? Did you grow up with that belief? Were people around you believers as well?
Absolutely not believers. I wouldn't say religious, but just it's something that wasn't talked about. Paranormal was not discussed. But looking back on my childhood, the house that I grew up in was absolutely haunted. I remember seeing like shadow figures or things running past me, but I wasn't able to understand it or explain it. And so even to this day, my mom is still skeptical, but she is open-minded because she knows that I enjoy doing this. And so it's kind of like, okay, just don't talk about it around me. But yeah, just it's something that my family just didn't really bring up when I was younger.
My mom was the same way. Exact same way where she knew I was involved in this, but she hated it because her growing up religious side, this was all demonic and
Yes.
all bad. And,
Mhm.
God wouldn't be happy with you. And I'm like, well, mom, these are spirits we're talking to. And yet my mom never admitted to anybody that she was psychic.
Oh,
Never.
interesting. Hmm.
It
Yeah.
was funny because my sisters and I, we would talk about how my mom just always seemed to know things
Mhm.
that were going on, but she never admitted to her intuition. I think she didn't want to get in trouble,
Yeah.
from her personal beliefs and her family and everything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how that played out. You became a paranormal investigator 14 years ago.
Mhm.
What was that like on your first paranormal investigation? How did you go into that? How did that happen?
That was cool because there was a team here in LA that did a lot of paranormal events and ghost walks and ghost tours, and I went to every single one. And finally, the founder, he emailed me. He's like, "You're at literally every one of my events. Why don't you join my team?" I was like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah, just join the team. We'll teach you everything." He was like, "I am looking for a few more members." And so that's how I got a part of actually like that community. And he was right. He taught me everything. He taught me about the tools. We went to quite a few places here in LA. My first investigation, I believe, was the Pasadena Playhouse, which is a beautiful theater out here in Southern California. However, it has a lot of history. One of the owners, they say he kind of haunts, and the cat animals there, it haunts the theater. However, there's a lot of productions that are there constantly. So good luck to those actors. But no, it was cool. Like I said, I was able to work in that team environment, but also just learn and understand the art of investigating.
What is it like being a paranormal investigator in Hollywood? Because there is so many hauntings and activities there
Mhm.
where, movie stars are alleged to still show up at amphitheaters and movie theaters and bars
Mhm.
and movie sets. Have you ever had an opportunity to go looking for some of those famous ghosts that are allegedly out there?
Absolutely. It's cool because I actually lived in Hollywood for about 2 years, so that was even better. And so knowing about the places that everyone talks about, but then there's places that are never brought up, that are not just in Hollywood, but in Southern California. But yeah, my favorite celeb like haunt is Hollywood Forever Cemetery. I brought this up a few times this month because a few people asked me, they're like, what's the most haunted places? Hollywood Forever Cemetery is not your typical cemetery. It's like they have yoga classes there. They have movie nights there. It's very like beautiful and serene. However, celebrities are buried there. And so yeah, there I don't even know where to start. Judy Garland, Rudolph Valentino, a friend of mine, we did an investigation at Rudolph Valentino's grave, which is inside the mausoleum, and we were getting a lot of responses with the spirit box and also the dowsing rods. That one was really cool, but I love to tell people, if you're visiting LA, please go to Hollywood Forever, because not only will you be able to see the celebrity graves, you'll actually, if you want, you can actually investigate as well.
Oh, man. What attracts you to ghost hunting? You don't like it. Scares the, I mean, you like it, but it
Yeah.
scares the living daylights out of you. What keeps you going back?
I think it's fascinating. You know, people are, because like I said earlier, like people fear the unknown. And I think that's why I go for it, because we don't really have all the answers. There might be people that think they do when they don't. And that's my favorite part about it. As an investigator, as an intuitive, I can spew all the crap I want about my theory or what I pick up, but I'm not God and I don't have that full answer. And so I think that's what drives me to do the investigations, is to, well, that's one answer, but also I love the historical aspect. I love to learn about the property, the person that used to live there, their personality, what they liked, what they didn't like. And so it's more about the story and telling the story. And so those are the two aspects of why it really drives me and why I find it interesting. But yeah, there's a part of me that's still scared. However, I'm controlled, where it's like, I can do an investigation and go to bed. You know, I'm not like, oh my God. It's just because I understand it and I am controlled, and I realize that I am in control and the spirit is not. And I think that's important for those that really want to get into this work, to just make sure that you really, really know what you're doing, that you know what you're talking about.
What do you think a ghost is?
It could be a few things, actually. There's different, I wasn't going to get all like detailed. What I think a ghost is, I think the easiest way to say is a spirit that has unfinished business. I have to go with Casper. It has unfinished business, and there could be a lot of different reasons why they're still here, you know, roaming the earth with us. They could be looking for someone, or looking for something, or they don't want to leave their object, or they love their home. There's a lot of different reasons. And just like, I have to bring up, that comes to mind in Las Vegas, there's a place called the Red Fox House, which I think it's an insurance company now. And they say that he is so active in that home, he does not want to leave. That was his house. That was the first property that he bought, that he loved. He was there all the time. And then I want to say in the early 90s, the IRS seized the home. And so he was very upset about that. And I think there's footage of him actually like talking to the camera about this happening. And so someone was taking his property. Now he's dead. And he's like, this is still my property. And he's still very much in that house. And so that's, to me, as an example of like a ghost or a haunting. It's someone that, one of the examples is someone that's their object. That's their place.
Do you think that ghosts are supposed to be here? Do you think that they should be moving on, whether there is a heaven, a hell, whether there is a fairy tale area that all the ghosts and spirits conglomerate before, you know, deciding to reincarnate or fly off to Mars or some alien planet? What do you think's going on?
Well, let's see. Let me make sure. Do I think that they deserve to be here? I mean, they have a right, you know, just as long as they're not demonic, harming people, and, you know, causing havoc. But if, you know, they don't want to move on, that's their prerogative. There's locations where, this is kind of me looking at the other side of it, where there's owners that say, I want this spirit gone, but it's kind of like, is it really up to you? Because there's some places where the spirit, they don't want to leave. That's their property. Where it's like, I think of the Whaley House in San Diego. The hosts and the owners, they want them there. They don't mind them being there, because they're not really disturbing, and they're also bringing them money, because people want to go to the Whaley House and do tours and investigations. And so, yeah. So my answer is that I think that they deserve to be here. You know, we can't force them to move on. But there are some, you know, we are able to move on, or they move them on, or they want to be moved on. Then why not do that for them?
I'm still not sure what a ghost is. This is, and trust me, I believe in the phenomena. Okay. I think I know what a ghost is, but I'm not sure if we're the ghost to them, or if they're the ghost to us. And what I mean by that is, I believe in a multiverse,
Yeah.
that there are multi different timelines and dimensions playing out at the exact same time. And
Mhm.
I don't know whether that's what we're encountering or if we're actually encountering spiritual or haunted activity.
Mm. I feel like it could be both because you're right. I believe in the multiverse as well. Just like I'm thinking about different cases of residual energy that I've dealt with or I've heard about, where I'm just like, yeah, that doesn't make sense, but it doesn't make sense to me because I feel like it's a part of that multiverse. I wish I can give a clear answer of a ghost because I feel like there's different answers. The one I gave you is just one, my theory. But there's different types, and there's some that are here. There's some around us right now. But then there are some, like you said, like residual or that are in that multiverse, and they may not even know that they're here. They don't know where they are. They're just kind of there.
So do you think then, as you go ghost hunting, are you prepared for ghosts? Or are you preparing for timelines, or just a mixture of both?
It's a mixture of both. It's more, to be honest, it's more like I'm preparing for ghosts. However, whatever happens, I'm just like I'm prepared for anything paranormal.
What do you love about doing this?
I love I was trying to think the number one is probably the stories of the people, their lives, the property. I did an investigation, oh god, almost 2 weeks ago. And I remember the owner said, "Oh, rumor that area has a male spirit by the tractor outside." And so myself and another investigator walked over there, and we were pulling our tools out. But as I'm doing that, I thought, let me tap in intuitively. And then we got the tools out, and I was like, I feel like there's two guys here. There are two men here. And then the tools started going off. And I was like, okay, so there's one younger guy and one older guy, and they start going off. I was like, okay, cool. Let's learn about you. And we started to ask questions. So yeah, that's probably the number one thing is just to tell their story and learn about their likes, their dislikes, why they're there. Do they want to be there? And more about the history, the property. And so I think that's fun.
Do you think ghosts want to communicate with us?
I think some do. I mean, I've encountered quite a few that say, get out or leave me alone. I don't want to be bothered. And one thing we have to remember is that depending on the case, the spirits have the same personality that they had when they were here in the physical. And some are just like, I don't want to be bothered. And so, but for the most part, yeah, I do think there are some, at least my experience, that want to communicate. And they're like, oh, wow, you can understand me or you're acknowledging me. Let me tell you my story. So yeah, I do believe that.
For those that don't want to communicate, why do you think they don't?
It could be two reasons. One, it could go back to kind of like the personality, where it's, there's just a grouchy man. I've had that a few months ago. I was in Lilydale Assembly and I held an investigation. We had like 30 people there. And one of the girls, she stopped. I gave her we were doing the Estes method, sorry. And she says, I'm sorry, I can't continue. There's a man yelling at me. What? She's like, yeah, it's literally a man saying, I don't want to talk to you. Get out my space. And so myself and the other investigator were like, hey, sir, we're not going to be here long. Like, be respectful, please. Come on. But then I told everyone personality. That was his personality when he was here. More than likely, he lived either in the space or next door. He does not like 30 people in his space. He's not happy. However, as an investigator, I make it a point to try to be as respectful as possible. So I let him know, like, listen, we are not going to be here longer than 10 minutes. We will be out of here. You're here soon. I apologize. And then we did go back in there the next day with another group. He popped up again, but he wasn't as mean. He basically said, you have 10 minutes. And so I think it's based off their personality. Yeah, I think that if they don't want to be bothered, they'll make it known. If they do, they'll make it known as well.
You mentioned the Estes method. Many people don't know what that is. Could you explain that for our audience?
Yeah. So one of my favorite tools to use is the spirit box. The Estes method is, clearly you can use the spirit box and pick up, it's like white noise where you can hear words, sentences, numbers, anything come through the box. However, you can put headphones on the spirit box, and which is better. It's almost more personal because the person that is wearing the headset, they're able to hear it clearer. They're able to let you know what is being said. So you are standing there asking the spirit questions. You will not be able to hear their responses, but the person that has the headset on, they'll be able to hear it. So if I'm saying out loud, what's your name? I'm not going to be able to hear the name. However, the person with the headset on might say Brandon, Lisa. It confirms basically that you are communicating with someone.
It's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you, or weirdest message you've got during the Estes method.
Oh man, where do I start? Let's see. The first one that popped up was an investigation in Pasadena about probably like 6 or 7 years ago, where we were in the kitchen of a very, very old building, a city building, and for the first time ever, started to get negative messages. That rarely ever happens, at least in my experience, where there's a man who's like, "Get out, you slut," like all these horrible, it's like, what is going on? And I was like, okay, this is not normal. Started to name call, be really, really disrespectful to myself and the other investigators. As I said, I'm usually always very respectful, or I'll say like, hey, we're being respectful, you be respectful back. And he didn't stop. And so we excuse ourselves. We're like, okay, we're going to end this session. Clearly you don't want to talk to us, but thank you for your time. But we are going to end this, and please stay here. But that was probably the only time where I was like, that sucked. Like, what was that about? This guy was really angry. But yeah, that was a few years ago out here in Pasadena.
Weirdest thing that ever happened to me, the first time I ever did it, I never heard a single voice. Except I started seeing things in the blindfold.
Oh, interesting.
So we were out in the middle of a forest, and I kept on the left side here, kept seeing this really bright white orb to the point that I was actually, it was so bright, I was squinting underneath the blindfold.
Wow.
And so I said to the team, I said, I'm not getting anything here, like voice wise, but this is what I'm seeing. And all of a sudden I started seeing like alien grays heads float through, and then the eyes of reptilians float through. So as I was describing the orb, they looked up in the sky with a camera, and there was a bright white orb hovering over top of us a couple 100 feet up.
Wow.
And it started making its way down, and it turned into a ring and then disappeared.
Wow.
That was probably the weirdest thing that's happened to me with that. But I'm one of those people, I don't get a lot of luck with them. Do I?
No.
Like, I don't know why, but I wish it would work better.
Yeah.
And I think with any tool, it doesn't matter whether it's a simple K2 meter or whether it's a spirit box or something more. I really think that everybody's own personality really defines the equipment that they are using.
True. Very true.
What do you like to use?
Oh, my favorite spirit box, just because I can carry it easily, put it in my pocket. And I used to have it all the time during COVID because there was nothing to do. Everything was closed. And so my friend and I would go to Hollywood Forever Cemetery or any other cemetery that was like local to Hollywood, and just see what we can pick up. And so I'd say the spirit box. I also recommend it for people with a little bit more experience. I would recommend the spirit box, but I'd say if you're new to this, the best is probably a K2 meter. That's easy. It's on Amazon. It's easy to carry, but that would be a really good one if you're like really just kind of putting your feet in the paranormal waters.
I would agree with that. I'd give you a thumbs up for that one. That's a good answer. But I think too, you have to really, before you go buy any gear, figure out learn how to feel first. Learn your own senses and intuition first. You don't have to be psychic. You don't have to talk with ghosts, but get used to how your body reacts in a haunted situation.
Absolutely. I so agree with that.
And learn with that. Tawney, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. When we return, talking paranormal all night tonight with Tawney Lewis, we're going to get into some of her spookiest stories that she has had and encountered over her time as a paranormal investigator. Tawney Lewis, based out of Hollywood, California. She's a ghost hunter. She's an intuitive. And she's going to tell her ghost stories next on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we are clear. Clear, I tell you. Oh, hold on. I forgot to unmute you. I thought I did. There we go.
Okay. I was like, you're talking to me? What happened?
Yeah. Having fun yet?
I am. Very, very interesting. And I love your questions.
Yeah. I'm that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I am so that guy.
Is there a chat? I didn't even look. I didn't look over there.
Did you look to your right? You'll see
it.
it.
Yeah. So I had a thing go blocking it. How cute.
Yeah. Everybody say hi, Tanya. Or hi, Tony. Say hi, Tony. Oh, look, it's Danette Birch. Welcome to SOR chat.
Hello, everyone.
Paul Demon, how are you?
I love all you weirdos. I agree with that. Hi, Paramarv. Hi, Marty.
I got good people in there.
Awesome.
I will ask that question in hour 2, Brown Dwarf. My audience is so in tune that the majority of them mentioned how they like my haircut today.
Kira, sorry, Kira. This is my grandmother. Sorry, she said, ask Tawny if the mom is still living. Yeah, my grandmother stalks me. So thank you for confirming that, Kira.
Kira is one of the most amazing souls ever.
That's awesome. Hi, Laura.
Yeah, I love her.
Hi,
Rose Demaray, how are you?
Hi, Kitty. Hi,
See,
Rose.
everybody's going to roll down and now say hi to you. They're awesome that way. I didn't go with the mullet, no.
F you, Dave. Oh, my God.
Oh, that's President Zeddy. F you, Zeddy!
Hi,
Wayne. It's a greeting of love.
Yeah, I love it. Everyone's so sweet. Thank you, Kara. The yellow rose is important too. I have a tattoo on my back of a red rose that I got a month after she passed away. So Rose, she loved roses. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Bar Madison, how you doing? Yes, as for Matt, I would agree with you.
Why, thank you.
Mm-hmm. You know, I almost, when I saw Tawny's hair right at the beginning of the show before we came on, I almost cut her loose because I can't have people with nicer hair than me on this show.
I love the chat. Everyone's so nice.
Yeah, I have a few rules about my chat room. Mm-hmm. Number one, it's not a democracy. It's a Davocracy, which means that the main rules are you don't be a jerk.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
You don't flip off even if you don't believe our guest or what they're saying, you don't insult them. We don't talk politics. We don't talk COVID. We don't talk anything that will spark people up, because people have been sparked up from the time they wake up in the morning until the time they get to this show. This is their reality break.
Yeah, good. Like
And
that.
we've had a few bad apples come in here and try and dictate how my chat room was going to go, and we kind of went, yeah, that's not how it works. Maybe
Yeah.
that's for you. I'll get you to hold on right there. Hi, Mark Sanchez, and your collection of Hawaiian T-shirts. Paranormal Oz, welcome to SOR chat. Yes, there you go. Look at that.
Thank you,
So,
Paranormal. Oh,
Shanna
thank you.
Chef Chris, how you doing, man? Good to see you. And big thank you tonight to T-Bone and Richard for the lone super chats. And no, there is no Brill cream in my hair. No Brill cream whatsoever. Here we go. Oh, sorry, we got like 20 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my fault.
Oh, the chat was fun.
Yeah, but yeah, my wrenches all know about our chat room as well, and they follow the rules and put
Cool.
people in place if they have to. They're good people. We just want everybody to enjoy.
Exactly. Sweet.
Hi, Deborah Norrisworthy. All right, now here we go. Here we go with second half hour Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. And yes, I do have a Halloween costume this year. I will be one of the characters from The Purge. I have the neon mask. I've got the plastic machete. And I'm going to be dressing up, ready to go. Hit my list, if you know what I'm talking about. Only for Halloween purposes with a plastic machete, people. So that's my Halloween. Let me know if you're in one of our chat rooms or on social media. Let me know what you're going to be for Halloween this year. You know, I heard Fap is going to be a Yankee fan because he wants to know what it's like to be a winner. You know, many others. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tawney Lewis is here talking all things paranormal supernatural with us tonight. We're going to get into some of her spookier stories that she has encountered while on the tales of ghosts. Tawney, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm having so much fun so far.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We hope so, because we like to have some fun around here. Looking back at all of your experiences that you have encountered on paranormal hunts, on investigations, or even just walking around your house drinking a cup of tea. Everyone has that one story that kind of just sets them back, whether it's spooky, whether it doesn't make sense, whether it leads to something really cool. What's yours?
The first one that comes to mind is Montana State Prison. It's like a two-parter. So the first part, I was a part of a team. I think during COVID, actually. A lot happened during that point because we were all bored. And we went to Montana, and we were doing a tour of Montana State Prison before the investigation at night. And for the most part, when I'm on a team, I'm actually an investigator. I don't go as that medium. That's just not what I want to do. But as we were walking, there was a prisoner that I was intuitively picking up, and he was they had gallows nearby or on site. And he was like, this isn't fair. It's not my fault. They did it too. Why was I the one? Like, he's just going on and on. And I'm just like, I don't hear you. I don't hear you. I don't hear you. As we're walking. And again, this is all intuitive. Like I'm clairvoyant. So I see it like play out as a movie. And he's just saying how it wasn't fair that he was killed and the other guys were not. And so what I did was I just wrote it down, and then we continued to tour. Didn't even bring it up to anybody. Later, I told another investigator about it, and we did a research. And there was a riot in one of the towers in Montana State Prison, which I just online somewhere. And all the prisoners going psycho, going crazy. They ended up having to send a bazooka up there to end the riot. But basically, there were 3 men that were the cause of the riot, but they only murdered one of them. The other two, for some reason, they just let them go. Like they didn't add that charge into their they didn't add that crime to them. I don't know why. But one of them was killed. And so I was like, she was like, "Is that who was speaking to you?" I was like, "Probably." But that one always stood out because it was so interesting how we were. I went into the prison and not knowing the history about it, and so to find that out, I was like, that was really cool. And then the other thing is, and I have proof of this one, we weren't getting a lot of evidence in the prison cells later that night. And we were packing up to go into another part of the jail, and just something just said, "Take a photo down the corridor, just take a picture." So I'm packing up, I just get my iPhone, I snap a photo, just one picture, go about life, didn't even think about it. On the flight home, something's like, "Check your phone, check your phone." Just like, okay, what's up? And I was like, "What is that?" And I see down the corridor, two glowing eyes staring at me. And I use that photo. I show people, like when I teach paranormal, or as just some of the best evidence that I've ever had or received. And so, yeah, that place is really interesting. I would recommend if anyone were to investigate Montana State Prison, definitely try to do 2 to 3 days. That place is massive, but it's really cool and there's a lot there.
That's incredible.
That was a lot. That place.
That is completely incredible.
I'll send you
How
that
do
picture
you
if I
prepare
remember.
for something like that?
Um, you know what? I wish I had a better prepare. That was hard because I was with a team, and so it would have been nice if there was nothing that was done wrong, but I wish we were better prepared where we have more time. It was like I think we did like 9 hours. I'm like, oh no, we need way more time. But it wasn't really anybody's fault. We just, like I said, it was during the COVID time where we flew out there and did it. But one thing I do remember is that being on site, I did start to feel sick. I rarely ever feel sick during investigations because I've been exposed to a lot of different types of energy. I'm controlled, as I said earlier. I'm trained, and I was like, okay, this isn't normal, but this also lets me know there's probably something darker here. Clearly, because I have a photo with glowing eyes looking at me. And so I was like, yeah. And I remember thinking this is the different feeling. Let me just go and take a little bit of a break because this is not a normal thing. It's very rare. But yeah, it was a cool place. I actually hope to go back soon. When we went, the owners had said that Ghost Adventures had just been there. I think they were there like a few months before. But yeah, really, really cool place near Butte, Montana.
Traveling to a location like that, being intuitive, do you get the sense that the spirits know that you are coming?
I don't, but that would be a really good question for other psychic mediums because, for example, I don't live my life as a psychic medium. Like there's a lot that charge, they work Monday through Friday. This is like their full-time job, their part-time job. I actually don't do that. If a friend needs a reading or they send me a referral, I will give them a reading. However, I use it solely for paranormal investigating because that's what I really enjoy doing and that's where my passion lies. And someone said, "Oh, do you like to do readings?" And I was like, "Yeah." So it's like, why would I do something that I'm meh about? And so I don't know. I think when I go to an investigation, I'm not really so thinking about like, do they know I'm coming? Like I'm gonna say just at the top of my head, no. But again, I would say I would probably ask that to someone that probably does it like all the time. More than likely, they'll say yes, but I don't think so.
Wow. For you then, what is it like to communicate with spirit? What
It's
happens to
interesting.
you? How do you know?
It's interesting. So when I go to an investigation or I do an investigation, it's usually I shut it off. So where some people that ask me, they're like, "Oh, you drove up. Did you feel anything?" And I'm just like, "No, I'm not on." I'm like, "No, I showed up as an investigator. I'm just here to kind of assess the situation first, get my tools ready. But then if the situation calls for it, then I will literally intuitively turn on and then I start receiving information whereas I see it. So for me, it plays out like a movie. Also I'll feel a certain way. I think it's a really, really good way to be because if I was an intuitive that was always open and always trying to feel and see, I would be a mess. I would be chaotic. I'd be like thinking I see things and hear. It's like, no. It's like control yourself. And I would tell someone that's also developing spirituality and they're going to being a paranormal investigator, like really understand how you work and get that under control. If you don't, it will be a problem. But no, I will go in and I will start to, when I'm ready, I'll feel like, okay, I'm directed to go up to the attic, you guys. I feel like I want to go that way. A story that I just thought of right now, cool ghost story, is I investigated Bracken Fern Manor about 4 or 5 years ago with a team. And we had people with us that actually wanted to join us on the investigation. And they said that I think the lobby, the living room, they said there's a little boy that haunts the living room and he's always running around and pinching people. And so we had tools set up and we're all just waiting and waiting and waiting and nothing's happening. And I was like, okay, here we go. Intuitive Tawney, where's the little boy? And so I told everyone, I was like, give me a second. And I was like, hey, is someone, you could stay in that manor, by the way, you can actually rent out rooms. I was like, hey, are one of you staying in room number one? And they're like, oh yeah, we have that room. I was like, do you mind if we just kind of go in there? And they're like, yeah. And they open it and they had their own ghost hunting tools in the room. We opened the door and everything was going off. And they were like, oh my God. I was like, okay, he's in here. They were like, how did she know he was in here? And I was like, because I felt directed and guided to go that way. Oh my God, you didn't tell us you were a medium. I was like, I'm not looking for attention. I'm here to investigate. And you guys wanted to pick up on him. He's in here. Also, did somebody buy him toys or candy? Oh my God, yes, we brought him toys and candy from Lake Arrowhead Village. And I was like, okay, he really enjoys that. And so that's probably a good example of how I utilize it during investigations where it's not like on full blast, but it'll come up when it needs to come up so that we're able to get information and confirm things.
When you're on a ghost tour, do you prefer to investigate on your own or with a team?
I really enjoy working with a team and I really enjoy working with other mediums. The only thing that I don't like, and it's slowed down now, is working with mediums with ego. Where it's like they're like, oh, let's work together. I know everything. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like there's definitely two men right here. It's like there probably is, but calm down. But no, I really enjoy working with a team and other mediums. Absolutely. As long as they realize that it's teamwork as well. Investigating on my own, yeah, I can do it. I think it's interesting. I did it a lot a few years ago when I was living in Hollywood. I keep going back to COVID because that was kind of the time where I was doing a lot more because there wasn't a lot going on. And so I went to a cemetery, Westwood Cemetery, where Marilyn Monroe's buried, quite a few people. And I remember investigating by myself during that time with my spirit box and K2 meter just to kind of see like what I would pick up.
You sound like you have a lot of fun doing this.
Yes.
That it is something that you get to really jump feet first into. I don't want to call it a hobby, but your passion.
Yeah.
Why do this? Because so many people do not. What drives you for this?
And you're right. It's a passion. It's I think it's just very interesting to try to figure out the unexplained, where it's like I don't think I'm going to get the answer because as I said earlier, we're not God. However, it's fun just kind of trying to put the pieces together and trying to tell the story and figure out, okay, who am I talking to, or why are they here and what do they want, and tell me about their lives. I think that's really, really interesting. And it's different. I've always been different. I've always been unique. I've always stood out in my community growing up. That's just who I am. I don't care. And so, yeah, that's why I always joke and be like, yeah, I'm weird. And I'm weird, but it's just a passion. And I'm very lucky because like, yeah, my day job, my job is 100% remote and I'm very good at it. And I'm focused on it. But then when I'm done, I'm like paranormal time. And it's like, it's a really cool balance of that.
I can totally see where you would have to find balance because you're really, when you're on a paranormal investigation, you are dealing with really two different realities.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find that balance?
Oh, it goes back to kind of what I said earlier, where you have to really understand it. Just because I've seen a lot of people, they're like, I like paranormal, I am now an investigator. Here I go. And it's like, well, do you know what you're doing? Do you know about the different types of spirits? Do you know what's happening? And I don't think that they do. And so my goal, which I feel like I've been successful so far, is to understand it, to understand, to not just understand the field, to understand exactly what I'm doing, to know why I'm doing it, what my intention is, and also to understand how I work. And so, and I've been able to just kind of identify that over the past like 6 or 7 years to where it brings me to where I am now. And to where I'm like, yeah, I'm scared of this, but I'm controlled. I like it. It's fun. I have a good balance. I know why I'm doing it. And my intention has always been positive, believe it or not, doing this work, meaning I don't go into it like I'm looking for demons that, I mean, eventually it'll happen, but that's not my intention. And so, yeah, it's just about that. I don't even know if this is the right word, like a self training or a reflection while going into the paranormal.
Have you ever ran into a demon or an evil spirit?
Um, just scanning my many places. When I was new, I had a new investigator. Actually, I think it was at that Pasadena theater. So the first place I went to, that place was pretty large, and there was a room where the founder of the team, he's like, "Hey, everyone, let's just kind of stand back because I feel like there's something dark in there." And he did take some photos, and there was something in the photo I couldn't explain. I remember being like, "And what is that?" And this as a new investigator, and he's like, "This is dark." And I remember also being uncomfortable to where he didn't even have to tell me not to go in a room. I just didn't want to go in there. And I'd say that was probably the most uncomfortable because at that point I didn't fully understand what I was doing and I was still learning. And I also saw that photo. God, I wonder if he still has that picture. But yeah, I'd say that was probably at the top of my head. I'm sure there's more that I can think of.
What's it like when you come face to face or dealing with something that is more nefarious in the paranormal? Give us a story.
Um, Oh, I'm sorry, trying to think where is a good one. You know what? It's at the same location. But so going back to the Bracken Fern Manor. So for those of you that don't know, this is located in Lake Arrowhead, California. Another good, sorry, it's a fly, another good place that I recommend going to. And so across the street from the Bracken Fern Manor is the Tudor House. So back in the 1920s, 30s, Prohibition era, a lot of celebrities would go up to Lake Arrowhead to get away from Hollywood. However, there was a lot of things that were not supposed to be happening up there, such as gambling, prostitutes, and unfortunately, there were murders. And so there were some murders allegedly that happened in the Tudor House basement, which brings me to the story. The first one is my the team I was on, we went down there when we first arrived to prepare for an investigation. And one of my friends who was a skeptic, but was on a team, was a skeptic, he was filming the area. He was just kind of assessing everything. And something pushed him hard. And I never forgot that because he was a skeptic and it bothered him that whole day. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "No, I got to get out of here." And he gave me the camera and just left. And I remember thinking, okay, we have to come back here tonight when we have more people with us to actually figure out who that was and what that was. The same next day, sorry, we were there for a few days. This next day, we actually had people there that wanted to see a ghost. And there was a jerk that was on our tour who was baiting, like, "Oh, you guys, there's no ghost," just insulting the spirits. And we knew this was coming, just how he was acting. And we took him down to the basement and we were doing a normal investigation. It was pitch black in there. And all of a sudden he started to scream. I put the flashlight on him. He was on the ground and he's screaming and yelling. He's like, "Oh my God." And one of the investigators lifted up his shirt and we see a mark on his stomach. And to this day, I don't mean to laugh, but I remember just kind of like nonchalantly just looking at him with a flashlight with no emotion because of his behavior. Initially someone's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I was just like, "Here we go. You caused this, dude." But no, he was on the ground. The medium in the group, she tried to calm him down. He's like, "Something pushed me." Clear as day, we saw that mark. We went ahead and took him upstairs and she just kind of cleansed him because he's like, "I can't go back down there." This was in the exact same spot that my friend was pushed. And so that's the Tudor House. And then the last story connected to that is I went back down there with, I want to say 3 guests, and same thing. They wanted to see something, they wanted to experience something. And I went down there and I said, "Whoever is here, They just want evidence that you are real. We will be out of here in 5 minutes. Just communicate. And I was teaching them, I was like, just communicate. There's no reason to be disrespectful. I was like, we'll be out of here in 5 minutes. We just want evidence. We set the tools up. Everything started going off. I said, thank you for your time. We got up and left. And they were like, oh my God, that's crazy. I was like, listen, whatever's down there is, I don't think it was demonic. I think it's just probably a man that was murdered. At least now I'm picking up on it. And he just doesn't want people down there. And he was just like, look, here, it's going off. It's going off. Okay, you happy? You happy? Now get the hell out of here. And so we were just like, okay. And so that was the same location. So the Tudor house in Lake Arrowhead, California. So yeah.
But a lot of people would keep going.
Oh yeah.
After that one, like you made a promise to them, just give us something. We're out of here.
Yep.
We'll respect you. You kind of played along those lines, because you set the intention, you set the rule.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of other people will keep going and pushing and prodding. And that's where I think people do get in trouble from the other side with the paranormal.
You're absolutely right. And I try to be respectful with other teams and, what they want to do, other investigators. It's like, that's what you want to do. That's fine. But my teachings, or when I teach people about the paranormal, or when I go into a location like that with other people, that's my style. That has always worked for me. It's always worked. And, I get students that are like, is something going to push me? Something going to scratch me? Is something going to follow me all the time? And I'm like, this is what I've done. This is what's worked. I've never had those problems. They're like, okay. And so, it happens. There are people that they do push and prod and they get, yeah.
When you are at a location where physical contact is happening and it's a rarity,
yeah,
how does that make you as a ghost hunter feel when the ghost knows that it could physically touch you, physically do things to you?
Oddly enough, it's never bothered me as much, only because going back to that intention, at least in my career, the times that it did happen where they were physical, say if I felt like a very slight touch, it's very rare. I'll say, please don't do that again. Let's respect boundaries. And it never happened again. Whereas like one team I was on, a medium, she said, oh, I can't wait to go to this location. I want something to slap me. So I remember that. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I can't wait for something to slap me. And sure enough, later that night, she was like, oh my God, I went down to the basement and something like pushed my face. And I'm thinking to myself, you asked for it. That was your intention. You wanted that. I don't know why. You wanted that going into this location. So that's one. And then also like the guy that was pushed, he deserved that. I'm sorry. He was very disrespectful. I'll never forget that. And he had that big mark on him. This is something that he asked for. He set that intention. And so, no, I don't think too much about it, only because it hasn't happened as much to me. But when it has happened around me, they usually cause it. Usually, in my experience.
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense. How many times have you had physical contact with a ghost?
Not often. A long time ago, I was asleep and I felt something touch my leg and I was like, yeah, nope, we're not doing that. Get out. Never happened again. And then maybe like a slight, very slight touch on my arm. And I was like, yeah, no. So I'm very vocal. Like if it happens, I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that. That's not me. Move on to the next investigator. I think it's because when going back to the intention, when I go to an investigation, I make it very clear why I'm there and what kind of like the rules, but very respectful. I actually had spirit over a spirit box in Gettysburg say, wow, she's so polite. I was like, why, thank you. But no, not often. I was saying out of the 14 years, sort of twice, but not really. I wouldn't even count those.
With 45 seconds to go before we have to go to break, ever had to run out of a room because of physical contact?
No, I felt like it was coming on at Montana State Prison. We went up to that level where they had to riot. One of the most uncomfortable times of my life. I was with another investigator, and the first time I said, we need to get out of here. We need to get out of here. And I never say that. She was like, no, we have to stay. I was like, we need to get out of here. But it was the energy and it was overwhelming. And I felt like it was coming to that, but it didn't. We got out.
Oh, When we return on Spaced Out Radio with our paranormal guest tonight, Tawney Lewis from Hollywood, California, we're going to continue with her stories. If you're in one of our social media outlets like YouTube in the chat room, we are going to take questions from all of you, paranormal questions only. And we are going to find out, really, what is a ghost? What do they do in here? Why would they hang out? If you have an entire universe to travel around, why the hell are you staying in the same spot? Because I'll tell you, the ghost in my office here in the studio of SOR HQ, I wouldn't want to be here. Just turn on the light every now and again. I'd be doing something fun. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, we are clear. We got about 6 minutes. I'm going to put you back in the green room. I'm going to disappear for a couple minutes. Be right back, okay?
Cool.
All right. Tawney Lewis, everybody. We'll be right back with her. Hi, Enrico. How are you? All right, I am back. Let's bring Tawney back in. Make sure you put your questions in capital letters. It's easier for me to see. Still having fun, Tawney?
I am, and now I'm looking at the chat. I don't know why it's fun to me. I'm just like,
So,
oh,
what I will end up doing is I'll end up posting the questions up on
okay,
the screen. I will read them,
cool,
and then you can give your answer.
cool, okay.
It's fun that way. It's fun. Are your eyes naturally that color?
I am definitely wearing contacts
Thought so.
for a long time, like 20 years.
My eyes are too dry for contacts. Here we go.
Okay.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio's All Paranormal Night tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Tawney Lewis is our guest. We'll get back to her momentarily. But first I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Doppelganger. Doppelganger is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Paranormal investigator Tawney Lewis is here tonight, taking your questions here in hour number 2, as we are having a great night talking all things paranormal. Tawney, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to get right to some audience questions here because there's some good ones. There really are. Let's start off with Scanman here, who is asking, there is new poltergeist activity at our home. Objects of family history and high personal value have moved and placed in weird places.
Wow.
How do you make it stop?
Well, first off, I don't know if you are able to get a paranormal investigator there. It would just be better. But if not, there is a chance that it's not necessarily a poltergeist. It could just be a jerk of a spirit that is moving things. I always tell people, think about the movie Ghost, where the Patrick Swayze character couldn't move things and he was able to by focusing and harnessing his energy. But no, I would there's a few ways you can go about it. I would first try to talk to the spirit out loud. That's the first thing I would recommend. Not screaming at it, not cursing at it, just, hey, I know you're here. We're here too. We live here. This is our home. I need you to please be respectful. You are moving our things. Please move. Like I said, you don't have to go on a whole spiel, but you're talking to them about what your request is. That has helped some people that I've recommended this to. Again, it depends on the spirit, or like, oh yeah, it stopped. I feel like they're here, but they're just kind of minding their business. But I would say if there is a chance to get an investigator to your house, wherever you are, that would be a really good step because they would be able to actually dissect the situation a little bit more.
Let's move on. And next question comes from Brown Dwarf. Was the building in Pasadena you investigated St. Luke's Abandoned Hospital?
No, but thank you for telling me about a place I need to go to. That'd be cool. No, the building, it was a city building. I cannot think of the name, the way I was able to get in. I have a friend that works there for years, and she said, myself and everyone that works here, this building is haunted. And she was like, it's very, very old. So that I forgot the name of it. I'm sorry, but I have to look into St. Luke's though.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go to Louisville Charlie. Tawney, is it possible for someone to fall in love with a ghost? Or have you heard of this before?
I have heard of it before. I've heard from both sides. Like I've heard where a client would say, I believe I'm in love with spirit. I have like feelings for them, even though I can't see them. But then I've also read at things where people say that the spirit is in love with the person and they don't want to leave them, or they're haunting. They're haunting the location and they just don't want to separate themselves from that person. So it's not so much that they're haunting the house, they're haunting the person. Um, I mean, I believe it. I believe it's a thing. It's nothing that I've had to deal with as an investigator myself, where someone's like, come to my house, help me. I'm in love with my spirit that's here. So, but yeah, I believe in it.
I think that somebody who falls in love with a ghost really better seek some counseling.
Yeah, I've heard it.
That's just my opinion of it all. I could be wrong, but it just seems to be wrong.
You said it. You said it. I didn't. I was trying not to go there. I agree.
Oh, I'll go there. Get some help, people. If you're falling in love with a ghost, you might want to see a shrink about this.
Yeah, I was trying not to say that.
Uncaged is asking, do you think some places are cursed?
So my take on it, again, and I'm not God, is I actually don't ever put energy towards cursed things, people, or places, because I feel like if you do, you're setting an intention to things actually happening. So my opinion is I don't think they're cursed, but it's just a Tawney thing where, like I said, it's if you believe in it or someone believes in it, then that's their prerogative. But I just don't put any energy towards it because I don't want to ever deal with anything cursed. So no, for me.
I love that Tawney thing. It's a Tawney thing.
It's my thing. Because some people might say, yeah, I believe it. I'm like, that's fine. I'm not like, you're an idiot. No, it's not. So
I think that's fantastic. But that's me. That's me. All right, let's move on to another question here. Let's go to GTO Dave. Tawney, what do you think of EVPs? I've had some spooky responses.
I love EVPs. I think they're probably the best form of paranormal investigating. You can go into a place with a voice recorder, your iPhone, and just go into a place and turn it on, leave it in the room, see what you get. But no, I think it's great. I think it's actually a good thing for a new investigator. They just press record. They don't have to be in a room, leave it there, and just see if anything comes up or stay there and ask questions. So I think it's great.
What's your favorite one you've captured?
Sorry for the pause. I really want to think of a really good one that I had. I'm just scanning the last 14 years. You know what? I want to say it was that Bracken Fern Manor location. Oh God, we had that plus that Boo Bear. I hate that thing. The Boo Bear is a ghost hunting tool where the bear is it's a motion sensitive and motion activated, and it makes noises if you go near it or if spirit goes near it. Anyway, yeah, we picked up a little girl that was laughing because she saw the Boo Bear and you could just hear her giggling, and I was like, oh, that's lovely. I hear a little girl laughing, and there's definitely no children in this this building, and that was on the 3rd floor of the Bracken Fern Manor, which makes it even creepier.
I think my favorite one was communicating with a Canadian war veteran, where we were investigating the night before Remembrance Day, Veterans Day in the United States, and we asked him, which war did you serve in? And he said he got the years of the wars mixed up. He said the year, and then he said World War II. And I said, do you mean World War I? And he goes, yes, sorry.
Cool.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uncaged is asking, have you ever gone to a location and immediately got that feeling that something doesn't really want anyone there?
Oh yeah, multiple times. I don't even know where to start. The one that comes to mind was in Jamestown, New York. I was doing it was like a training thing with Lisa Williams. She's a internationally known psychic medium. She had her own TV show years ago, and she's one of my mentors. And we were filming something for her class, and we went into a haunted location in Jamestown, New York. And she let me kind of go ahead, and I went into a room and I went into the closet and I turned around. I think we have it on, someone filmed it. And she says, "Why'd you come out?" I was like, "That man said he didn't want us in there." And she was like, "Don't let him make you leave." I was like, "If he doesn't want me in there, I'm not going in there." And she ended up, but again, it was like a training thing. And she's like, "No, I'm going to go in there and he's going to get used to my energy." And so I thought that was interesting because we had two different takes on it, where she's like, "No, I'm going in here. He's going to get used to me." And it worked out. Like, we were okay after that. But me, I was like, "He doesn't want us there. I'm leaving." And that's usually kind of what I do during investigations. If I'm uncomfortable or if I feel like the spirit is just not in the mood for people, I usually will respect their space and leave.
Where do you draw the line on that? Because I've had similar situations happen myself, and I'm not an investigator. I'm an enthusiast of the phenomenon. I like to draw that line because, well, I do like to go out and play. I don't take it as seriously as many others. But we have had situations, mostly in the forest, where you get that feeling of uncomfortability that you're not wanted. Now, part of the reason why you're there is to try and figure that out, to have that encounter, to have that incident happen.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a respect factor
Yeah.
that might not be your room or your day or your time to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance between the two?
I like to think of negotiating in a way. A situation comes up that kind of like what you just mentioned, where at the Silent Movie Theater, another cool place for you guys to look up, and it's in Hollywood, California, very haunted. And people like to think of a ghost from the 1900s. The spirits at the Silent Movie Theater are actually from like the 1990s. There was a man that was murdered there. Interesting story, separate. Anyway, when he does not like people, the owner, sorry, he doesn't like people in his office, which is upstairs, and it's known. The people that work there know it, and the team and I went up there, and you hear on the spirit box, "Get out." And I said, working my tiny magic, I was like, "Look, sir, we just want to go in there for 10 minutes. I promise you, we will leave the space. Is that okay? We won't touch anything." Silence. You hear 10 minutes on the spirit box. They were like, "Did he respond to you?" I was like, "He sure did." And we went in there. We smushed in his office and we did, I can't remember. I think dowsing rods, and we were just doing equipment. And then at that 9-minute mark, you hear on that spirit box, "Time to leave." And they were like, "Oh my God." And they were scared. I was like, no reason to be scared. It was like we communicated, we were respectful, and that was the negotiating. I negotiated with him where he kind of is a grouchy man, but I was respectful. I was there for 10 minutes. He was like, "Okay, get out." And as a matter of fact, now that I'm remembering, I think something flew off the table. And they were like, "Oh, we're gonna get out of here." I was like, "Yeah, he's making it clear he doesn't want us in there." And so it's depending on the situation. I would say negotiating, being respectful, asking, saying what you need, because I might have got a response when I said, "Can we do 10 minutes?" "No, get out." Then I'd be like, "Okay, we're gonna leave," because it's just my take. It's just my take. It's just trying to be respectful of their space. So
Let's go over to who's next here. Paranormal Oz. Are you sure it's spirits of the dead or something else?
It's a really good question. It's a very fair question. My opinion is that, at least me, I am sure that the spirits of the dead, but also that's another reason why I think it's important to know what you're doing. Just because there's a lot of people out there that are paranormal investigators that don't know anything about spirits or ghosts or what they're doing or how to handle anything. And they are like, "I'm talking to a spirit." And they're like, "Are you sure about that?" "Yeah, I'm talking to a little girl." "Are you sure? Because it's possibly a demon." "How do you know?" It's like, well, so it's like they don't really have that training to understand that. But in my experience, and also luckily because I am intuitive, I do believe that there are spirits of the dead.
All right, let's go to Derek. Tawney, have you ever picked up attachments from an investigation? If so, could you explain?
I have not, thank God. From my understanding, it's not a thing. That's one thing I was always worried about. Except I just made sure I think everyone has their own way of preventing that. So with me, I usually will wear a sort of crystal during the investigation. This is one of them. This is the master quartz. Some people believe in crystals, some people don't. Again, it's your prerogative. Whereas I wear it for investigation. Before I step foot into an a haunted location, I say a prayer. Before I leave the investigation, I say a prayer. Also, when I'm communicating to the spirit, I let them know when I'm done. Thank you for communicating. We're going to leave the space. Stay here. I usually compliment them. Your location is beautiful. Or thank you for talking to me, or whatever. And it's worked for me. And so, from my understanding, no, I have not picked up any sort of attachment.
You're lucky. It's not fun.
I've heard from many people. It's one of my biggest fears. So.
T-Bone is asking, Tawney, have you ever wanted to investigate the Sally house?
Yes, I'm desperate. Does anyone have connections? Please, I want to go in there so bad. Yes, yeah. Would love to.
For people who don't know what the Sally house is, give us a rundown.
Ooh, the Sally house. Where do I start? This house is, I might be wrong. I want to say it's in Kansas City, Missouri, I think. If I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. But I think it's in Kansas City. And yeah, there's a little girl that I'm trying to think of the history, because I talked about this actually on the TV show that I was on. And so I was trying to make sure I had the details correct. But yeah, they said there's a little girl that haunts the house. However, different investigators, they say different things. So for example, I've heard that she does not like male investigators or men in the house. But when it's a female investigator, they might feel her like grab their hand, or they're getting a lot more responses, where if a male tries to ask questions, they're not getting anything. There's some people that feel like Sally's not really a little girl. They think it could be a demon. Like, I've heard a lot of theories about it. But that's why I've always been curious, to where I'm like, oh, one day I have to get there.
Let's go to Paramarv. Tawney, have you ever had an unexpended interaction at an inconvenience time? If so, is it more of a funny memory or a scary memory?
If I'm answering this correctly, I think I know what you mean.
I think you mean unexpected.
I think so. Okay. The first one, because again, I have a lot of different stories. The first one that comes in mind was recent. I went to Salem for the first time in August. And I got there a little late. So I was like, I'm just going to walk around the neighborhood and just see the beautiful houses. And as I'm walking, just like literally just minding my business, taking pictures of the houses, I just felt like there was this colonial boy that was like, I could see him with his like hat and his outfit, and he was just hanging out by one of the houses. And then he's like walking alongside of me. And I was like, what's happening? And it was like, I saw intuitive. And I was like, hey, he's like, hello. And where are you going? Like, very curious, almost like a lonely type of spirit. And I was like, this is really happening. Like, there's a boy, and it's rare that I'm on, his energy was so strong. And I was like, no, this is really happening. There was a guy walking alongside me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave you here. Nice to meet you. And then he stayed. And I think he was attached to that house. That was like a massive house in that corner. And I remember continuing walking, and he was gone. Like, the energy was gone. I was like, okay, that was real. I don't see him. I don't sense him. But I never forgot about it. And I thought it was really very interesting situation. And so I wouldn't say it was funny or scary. I thought it was interesting because of how detailed I could see him, and I want to know his story at investigator side. So like, I want to go back, I want to investigate that house and know like who he was and why he was there, and was he here during the Salem witch trial, or like what his story was. So yeah.
All right, let's move on to T-Bone again. Tawney, do you and your team use SLS stickman cameras?
One of the teams I was on, yes, we definitely use that. I was going to say it's not really my favorite, but I think it's interesting. I like it. I think it's accurate. But me personally, I don't own one.
Let's go back to back with T-Bone. Have any of you or any of your team ever experienced the hitchhiker effect?
I actually don't. I think I might know what that is, but I want to make sure I understand it. What exactly? I want to make sure I get the right answer. What is that? I've heard it before. The hitchhiker effect.
1 second here.
No problem. Yeah, I think I know this.
It's when a natural phenomenon occurs when an object such as a meteor or asteroid approaches the Earth from space. But in this meaning, we're meaning paranormal.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
this was like, I've heard this before. Um, I'm just scanning my time on the team. Like, have we ever experienced it? I'm gonna say
Like an
no.
attachment.
No, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I feel like it's that answer. I don't think so. T-Bone, that I can think of. Usually when a question comes in, I'll have my first answer. For that one, I don't think so. Mm-mm.
All right, let's move on to another one. Let us go next to Paul. Have you ever seen any orbs in your experiences?
Absolutely, absolutely. And a tip for investigators is a lot of them are just like, I see orbs. If you can, you take a picture of them, zoom in. Usually you'll see a face. Usually, not all the time, but you will. That happened in Florida. I did an investigation in Florida years ago, and I think I still have it in my phone. Clear as day. There's a elderly man's face. You can see his nose and his chin and
Oh,
his hair. And my sister, who's a skeptic, she was like, "That's a man." I was like, "I know." So that's one. And then years ago, I did an investigation at a beautiful, brand new mansion who it was haunted. And they didn't understand why. And I was like, there was a house here with a grouchy old man, and they had kids, and he did not like the kids in his on his property. But that one we were taking a lot of pictures, and that was probably some of the most orbs I've ever seen in that one house. And same, we could see the face of a man. And that's kind of how we were able to determine like what was going on and who that was. But yes, I see orbs constantly, mostly in photos.
do you think they are spirits?
I do. I think they are spirits, or they can be just energy to confirm that there's spirit around.
It's an interesting take on that. Let's go to Uncaged. Do you think some places are cursed? Or we already asked that one.
Yeah.
I apologize.
It's okay.
Go to Polly. How do you prevent ghost possession, and has it happened to you?
Ooh, that's scary. I would go back to what I said earlier, where no, it has not happened to me, and luckily, it has not happened to anybody around me, at least not on my team or that I've seen. My mentor did let me know it happened to her a long time ago, so it's definitely a possibility. So I believe that. But same thing that I've been doing. Before I go into location, I say a prayer. I have my intention. I wear my crystal, and again, this is what you feel to do. Some people, like I have a friend that loves to wear black tourmaline. That's her thing. It's not mine. And then before I leave a location, I say a prayer. And then also, what is my intention? My intention is to just learn about the person, the property, investigate, and that's it. I'm not trying to have anything be friends with me or follow or help them. Like it's just the intention. So yeah, that would be my suggestion, is probably, again, it's your beliefs though. A prayer.
Jennifer would like to know, have you ever been attacked while you're trying to have a shower or bath?
Absolutely not. Never. I lived by myself for a few years in Hollywood, and I used to do all sorts of investigations. And I was fine. I came back and followed my method that I've been doing for years, and I've always felt safe. I've never had anything happen to me. I'm
You've never
very
had anything come home with you?
not that I'm aware of, or at least I didn't feel anything. There's been times where like I might have felt something. I'm like, yeah, leave. Like I said earlier, I'm very vocal, and then after that, I never felt anything. So no,
Feel lucky?
so far.
Well, let's keep it that way, shall we?
Exactly.
Let's keep it that way. Tawny, we have you for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio, but first we do have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk more paranormal stories, more questions from our audience, a jam-pack next half hour of paranormal talk on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody. We're having a good time. Hope you are too.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Hi, Cat's Tongue. How you doing? T-Bone, my man. Thank you again. Flying on by, eh?
I know. Oh my God.
No.
And the East Coast people, it's 1:30 a.m. over there. My goodness.
Oh, yeah, they're up.
Yeah.
They're night owls, those people.
Oh my goodness.
How often do you get out to investigate?
There was a period where it was a minute. So like I hadn't done it in like 8 months, but recently, so in August, I did like a Lilydale Assembly invited me to teach. So I taught some paranormal classes and I did some events. And then I thought to make it like a 2-week East Coast paranormal trip. And so I went to Lilydale, New York. I went to New York City. I went to Gettysburg, investigated in Gettysburg. What else? I went to Colonial Williamsburg down in like South Virginia. That was so cool. And then recently did a investigation at the Pico Adobe in Los Angeles. And then Pioneer Cemetery. And that was like a little less than 2 weeks ago. So it started to amp up, which I really appreciate because there was like this dry spell earlier this year. And I was just like, oh my God, like I need to investigate something.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I went to the Whaley House late. God, that was almost a year ago. Late last year. That was awesome. I love the Whaley House. For anybody that's, even if you're just coming to LA, I would do the drive 2 hours south to San Diego. San Diego's awesome, but then there's a lot to do, and there's a lot of paranormal opportunities like Star of India, and then of course the Whaley House.
See, when you live this far away like I do, these places are just seem so far out there. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to personally, if I were to investigate anywhere, I'd love to do the Winchester House.
Oh yeah. I went there, that was years ago. I went there, but I did just a tour, like a regular tour. It was okay. It was massive. God, that place was massive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We got about 2.5 minutes.
Okay. So I was looking at the chat.
Yes, sweet Robbie G. I am in the sticks. I am. Good morning, Commonwealth Andrew.
Ooh, all the way from London? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's about, what time is it there? 7:30?
Yeah, 7:30. That's cool.
7:30 in the morning?
I can't wait to go to London one day.
Just over 90 seconds.
Okay.
It's been a good show. Thank you, Tawney.
No, thank you for having me.
It's been amazing. We will try and fit in all the questions coming up.
Okay.
See where it goes.
Yeah.
And I'll do my best to get them in, people. Don't you worry. All Davey will do his best. Thank you tonight to T-Bone ×2 and Little Richie Minnick for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate my super chats. Sweet Robbie G, did you see I complimented your haircut, buddy? Called you hands. I did see that, buddy. I did. This is why you're the sweet Robbie G, my friend. No insults coming your way tonight, brother. None. I appreciate it. I went to the bar, my hairstylist, and said, "What would sweet Robbie G do?" And this is what she cut into my hair. All right. We're coming back here in like 10 seconds.
Okay.
And here we go. Here we go, the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can listen to us on every major podcast network as well. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Final time tonight, unfortunately, because I liked her. I've liked our guest tonight. Damn it. We're going to bring her back. We're going to bring her back. Call my booking agent. We need to bring Tawney Lewis back because she's awesome. You really are. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a blast. All right. Ready for more audience questions, Tawney?
Oh, I love them. I'll try to go as fast as possible. I want to get to all of them.
Let's do our best. Let's start off with Andromedan. Tawney, have you had a UFO or alien encounter?
No, but I have to tell you, my sister had one and she's a skeptic and it's so cool. It's about 30 years ago. She tells it so vividly. She saw her and her partner were up in like the mountains. They were like probably making out. I don't know. And they saw something shaped like a cross and it was orange. And she said there was a car next to them. And when it flew up in the air, the car next to them turned the car on and drove off. And she said to this day, she thinks about that because they were the only other witnesses to it. And I remember Googling what she described to me. And I saw a UFO that looks, she said, oh my God, that is what I saw. That's exactly what I saw. And what's creepy is that a few years later, I Googled it again and it was nowhere to be found. So I don't know who wiped that off the internet. And so, but no, her story's super, super cool. But I personally have not had one. I'm very interested in like UFOs and aliens.
Well, hopefully you'll get some aliens soon.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to wish for you. When you wish upon a star, it's just like Disney.
I don't want them to take me, but that'd be cool to, see something.
Yeah. You don't get that choice, Tawney. You either ride or
exactly.
Mike is asking, do people who dabble in the darker things, religion, and come to check out a ghost tour, you do, check out a ghost tour that you do, does that elevate the energy when you're hosting a tour? Do you host a ghost tour?
It's hard to explain. I don't. Yes and no. Sorry, I paused. So basically, every year, I'm invited to Lilydale Assembly in New York City, and they have me teach. I teach paranormal classes, so please follow me. You can learn more about that. But also at night, I do actual investigations, and so that's why I have to think about it. So it's like a tour, but an investigation. I have had people in the past on tours that, they dabble. But I usually set the tone right at the beginning of anything I do so that they kind of know like, okay, I'm not in control, or, oh, I'm not here to tell her what to do, or I'm not here to do weird things. And so does it elevate it? My experience, it didn't really change for me. It didn't change the energy. It didn't really change the energy. What elevates it for me is if I'm with like another medium, if there's someone in the class or someone in the the group that's like, oh, I'm a psychic or a sensitive, I feel like that elevates it. Cause I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I want to hear your feedback or your opinion, or I want you to kind of tell me like what you feel is going on.
For me and my ghost tour, I would say that people who do dabble in the darker side of psychic phenomena have been the biggest pain in our butts. And because they come in usually thinking they own the place and that they're the ones who know what's going on. And we had one of our most popular spirits on our tour literally wrecked because of one of these dark psychics. And we had to literally ban that lady from the property because she was just horrific.
Ugh.
Absolutely horrific.
Meet people like that.
Yeah. Let's go to Jennifer. How do you get them, the ghosts, to stop bugging you?
Oh, to stop. It depends. Again, sorry. I just getting more detailed. It depends on the type of spirit. It's intelligent. Talk to them. And I bring that up again because it's worked, just in investigations that I've done in the past. Usually we're like, hey, knock it off or go outside or what. Usually they're just like, oh yeah, I'm not in control. They are. And they usually will. However, fair enough. There are plenty that don't care what you have to say and they won't listen to you and they'll do whatever the hell they want. And so I kind of go back to what I said earlier is where I would definitely recommend getting an investigator involved just so they can confirm exactly what is going on. So that you're not just messing with whoever knows what's happening in your house. They're able to confirm, okay, this is what I think is happening. This is what I think is going on. You already told them to stop. You're like, yeah, I did. And nothing stopped. You're like, okay. So then that's when the investigator will get involved and try tools to see if they can, or they'll bring a medium. They'll bring a medium to the house and see if they're able to communicate with them or try to get them to leave. There's a lot of different, it's kind of a long-winded answer, Jennifer. Sorry. There's a lot of different ways. So yeah.
Oh, that's quite all right. We'll take a long answer.
Yeah.
Let's go to Enrico. Do people still believe in the stone tape theory? I don't even know what this is.
That's another one that sounds really, really familiar. I'm like, I think I know what that is, but I don't want to give the wrong answer. That sounds
all right. I got to find this out.
Okay. It sounds really familiar.
It is a pseudo-scientific claim that ghosts and hauntings occur when historical information is released from rocks and other items.
I've heard that before. It's not something that I'm that familiar with, so I'm not gonna sit here and make up an answer, but I have heard it before. So so my answer is I'm not sure.
All right, let us see what's going on. And next we are going to go to T-Bone. If you had a chance, would you investigate the Playboy Mansion?
Oh my God. So fun fact, my friend and I drove up there. And when we went, there was like construction or something was happening around the property where we couldn't get that far. But we were like, oh my God, it's right there. I was like, I would give anything to investigate. So yes, I would love to investigate the Playboy Mansion. Oh God, that'd be so great.
Oh, I would totally do that one.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally do that one. The stories the spirits would tell there, they're either going to be extremely horrific, extremely graphic, or extremely awesome.
Yep.
I don't see any in between with any of that. I just don't. It'd be awesome. Laura wants to know, Tawney, have you ever had to cancel an investigation due to a member or team headspace not being in the best place?
Oh God. Yeah, it was almost over. Yes, so I did an investigation. I'll try not to say too much because in case I doubt they'll listen. I don't know if they listen. They probably do. They were having some issues and we had to stop the investigation because they just kind of needed to step away. It was issues that was caused by them. So that's why I'm just like, and me and the other investigators were just kind of like, we didn't know what to do because they had to deal with their situation. They weren't in the right headspace. And then they left. which was good because I was kind of like, oh, I don't really want to make them leave, but they were like, I'm gonna go ahead and leave, and it's like, okay, that's unfortunate. And so, but like I said, it was towards the end of the investigation, and so that was years ago, and I remembered that, and it was a really unfortunate situation. To be transparent, I think they were like having they needed, like, I don't know, drugs or something. Like that's kind of what I was getting from it. So I was just like, oh, that sucks. So
Let us go next to Louisville, Charlie. Have you ever investigated Waverly Sanatorium? If so, your thoughts?
no, please invite me. I want to go so bad. There's so many cool places around the US that I want to go to, and that is one of them. I have not yet.
See, I have zero interest in there.
Oh, really?
Let me tell you why, though. It's a different reason than what you would expect. Would I go investigate there? Yes.
Mhm.
But I am so sick and tired of seeing the three places on every season of every paranormal show.
I know.
It's Waverly Hills, Gettysburg,
Eastern.
Bobby Mackey's. And look, as a paranormal tourist, I would love to go to those places to knock them onto the list. But you would swear there's only 3 locations that are haunted in the United States.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, give me some brushy mountain for dessert.
Yeah. I agree.
And I just can't believe, like, every time there's a new paranormal show out, oh, next week we're going to Waverly Hills. Really?
Eastern State Penitentiary. They always go to that one too.
Yes.
Mhm.
Alcatraz.
Yep. Same place over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Like,
I know.
use some imagination, television, please.
Yeah.
If you're on television watching this and you're in the television paranormal industry, there are more locations than those ones.
I have them ready. I've told people, and they're just like, oh, let's go back to this one. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I agree with you 1,000%.
Have you ever investigated any ghost ships like Titanic or ghost ship sightings?
The closest is in San Diego. There's a Star of India. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh. They do regular tours because it's a museum, but also they do allow paranormal investigations. I've been on that one twice. The one thing though about the Star of India is that they don't like women. Oh, the spirits are mean. They're very much like, oh, you're a woman, you should be serving me food. Very that. They only like to respond to the male investigators. But yeah, that's a super cool place to look up. Star of India.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. My experience, I'm just like, oh my God. It's cool, but I'm always like, oh, here we go. Because they're just like the spirit box or EVPs are just like, I'm not talking to you. What do you want? But with the guys, they're very respectful. All the female investigators get that.
I never knew that.
Mm,
How rude.
the jerks there.
How rude.
Yeah.
Let's go to Aloha Dave. He's down in Mexico.
Oh.
Is there a difference between an intuitive and a medium, or are they the same thing?
I think there's a difference. So for an intuitive, it's someone that's basically like picking up psychic impressions, psychic information. Like intuitively, I'm feeling like, and this is like personality, I feel like you are a social butterfly, like that. You're picking up intuitive information, whereas a medium is someone that is connecting with someone that's passed, whether that is a ghost spirit or a loved one in spirit. So I'd say they're different, but they're in the same realm, all paranormal.
Love it. Love it. Let's move on to another one here. Let's go back to Jade Truth Seeker. Have you ever investigated astral projection ghosts?
Ooh, I have not. But that's an excellent question. No one's ever asked me that before. But no, I have not done that before.
I will tell you, when you learn how to astral project, it's going to be very, very cool what you see.
I've heard. I know a lot of people that, yeah.
You afraid of it?
You said afraid of it?
Yes.
No, I'm going to say no, because there's something that's similar that happens to me. It hasn't happened in years, thank God. It happened a lot when I was living by myself, where I knew I was like astral projecting, and I was aware, but then I couldn't wake up. It was weird stuff. So it's like it almost happened. So no, I'm not scared of it. I was annoyed by it.
T-Bone is asking, Tawny, do you have an opinion on remote viewing?
Yes, I love it. I use it for investigating. So a lot of people have contacted me about, like, a good example is like a friend of mine in Texas. She was like, I think my house is haunted. And so, but people feel like remote viewing is just clear seeing. However, you can also feel into the situation. And so I told her, I was like, do you have a 2-story house? Yes. I also feel like there's double doors that lead to the backyard through your kitchen. She's like, oh my God, yes. And so that's remote viewing, at least from the way I do it. But then I was also like, actually, and then I feel like going down the hall, I'm starting to get uncomfortable. So would you understand seeing something in that hallway? Yes. So yeah, I usually teach it when I do paranormal investigating classes for like intuitives. But I think it's great. And I think it's really good for me investigating places that are not here in California.
Let's go to Paisley. Is there an amulet, charm, or talisman you feel works for protection?
Yes. Wait, let me back up. Sorry, I automatically said yes, but I was thinking about crystals. Amulet, charm, talisman. I'm not gonna lie and say like the makeup one. I'm gonna say no, just my experience. But crystals, I would recommend black tourmaline. And then I wear my master quartz all the time for investigations. I don't wear it daily. When I'm working, I don't wear it. It's only when I'm doing an investigation or interviews or when I'm talking about anything paranormal, I have it on. So master crystal quartz. So there's quite a few. Selenite. Selenite's a really good one. I used to keep it in my apartment. I had it kind of like all over the place, which might explain why I never had anything bothering me in the apartment. But those are the 3 that come in mind in terms of crystals.
Rich wants to know, what does it mean if they turn the lights on and off and nothing else? It was very frequent and now it never happens anymore. What's the meaning in your
It could be a
opinion?
few things. Sometimes loved ones do that. You're like visiting uncle or grandfather, just like, hey, I'm here, just to get your attention, turning on the TV, lights on, off. If it's not a loved one, it could also just be a spirit getting your attention. The interest is, I think it's interesting that you said it's not happening or it's never happening. That could be anything. I was gonna say the spirit could have just that one could have been a loved one because sometimes they do it just to get your attention and just to let you know that they're there. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, and then all of a sudden it stopped. So that could be what happened in your case, but I'm not sure.
Let's head next over to Doubleday. Why do ghosts seem to prefer old houses with character?
It does seem like that. In my experience, that's not always the case. There's a lot of investigations I've done with beautiful, massive, brand new houses. And they're like, oh my God, there's something dark here. And it turns out that it's just a property. It's there was something there. There was an old house from 1910 that was there and they demolished it and somebody died in that house. It's literally the property. But yeah, it does seem like it is the old houses with character. I agree with that. It's a property.
All right. It's always the property.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew would like to know, Tawny, do you think there are manifested spirits?
I think, my opinion, I think there can be. I believe that there are manifested folklore cryptids. That's something that was kind of planted in my head years ago where I never forgot it. Like I forgot, I can't remember, it was years ago, but it was like a spiritualist saying, like, I feel like you can manifest a unicorn or you can manifest fairies, and it just stuck with me. So I'm gonna say yes. I feel like that it is a possibility.
I think tulpas are very real.
Mhm.
And, it's amazing how many people who think they know about the paranormal do not understand that the power of the mind and thought
Yep,
can actually create a lot of these characters that
absolutely.
we now call ghosts.
Yep, I agree. Definitely.
Have you ever dealt with a tulpa?
No, I have not.
I deal with one at my museum. I'm not sure if it's a tulpa. I think it's a tulpa.
Mm-hmm.
Other people believe it's a real ghost.
Mm,
She communicates back.
oh, interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's caused big arguments.
Wow.
Yeah. In what culture do you find more ghost stories?
I might go a little like off kilter with this one because I feel like television or radio, or they focus a lot more on like Midwest ghost stories, or where it's like that's fine because yes, there's haunted places everywhere, but like let's look into different cultures. I feel like they're not highlighted as much. There we go. So but my experience, native native Indians, Native American, a lot. That's like a big thing here in California. A lot of places are Indian burial ground that have just tons of stories. One of the investigations I did in September, I was communicating with an Indian woman. We were in a room where they had a lot of her tools that they found in the ground years ago. So yeah, native Indians.
I love First Nations legends and lore.
Mhm.
I do. I think they are so powerful, and we do not pay enough attention to what they are, what
Yeah.
they are about, the meaning of them.
Mhm.
And if we did, we'd probably be a lot closer to the answers of finding the answers to these mysteries
Yeah.
than what we actually do see.
Yep.
We got about 3.25 minutes left with you tonight, Tawney.
Okay.
And I want to just ask, just your opinion on Halloween. Do you think the veil thins at this time? Or do you think that the spirits are always there, all around, and always ready to communicate?
Both. I think they're all the time, always ready to communicate. However, I do think that Halloween, the veil is thinner. I think it's a great time, not just to do paranormal investigations, but to also just get out there and do Halloween events because it's just the energy's different. There we go. It's like a different type of energy. It's yeah. I agree with that.
What do you think about the fact that so many people heading into Halloween night, that's when they try to get involved in the paranormal? That's when they try the Ouija boards. That's when they
Oh
try
my
the
gosh.
pendulums, the tarot cards, the
Mm,
go to cemeteries. I mean, really putting themselves in a position to get spooked out because that's what they want.
yeah.
They don't understand the actual concept or the danger of it.
The worst time to do that. And you're right, they don't understand they don't know what they're doing. They're creating problems for themselves. It's just a bad idea. And so those of you that that you don't know what you're doing, you're not sure. I just I don't beg you. I just suggest. There we go. I suggest you don't do that. Um, just to protect yourself and those around you.
With 90 seconds to go, you've got a lot going on. You've got a series coming up. Which series are you working on?
Oh, so for those in Canada, there's a few. So in Canada, last year I did a show called Paranormal Revenge, and that one airs on CTV-SCI-FI and at Crave, the Crave network. But the newest one is called My Haunted Hometown, and that one is on TNE. That one started in early September. There's 8 episodes. Really interesting show. It just tells you about just not just Canada, but also like all around North America, just some haunted cases. On both of these shows, I'm one of the lead experts, and I just give my insight and opinion onto what I think these are. And then for those of you in America, Tubi. Tubi, there's 3 shows. There's Scariest Places in America, Scariest Places in the World, and the brand new one, Famously Haunted Hollywood. That one actually just came out like 2 weeks ago. And I talk about a lot of paranormal cases in Hollywood. And again, I'm an expert on these shows.
Do you like doing television?
Say it again. Do I what?
Do you like doing television?
I think it's really interesting. I enjoy talking about the paranormal, but what's funny is I was telling a friend, I want to investigate. And so I said, you know what? I really enjoy talking about it, but I want to get out there. Like I want to go to one of these places and actually investigate. And if they film me, great. That's fine. But I'm definitely not looking for fame at all. It's just kind of naturally happened. Just because I think because I'm different, I'm not like the typical investigator and people are intrigued. And that's also one of the reasons why I was like, I want to know what you're talking about.
Love it. Tawney Lewis, everybody. We're going to definitely bring her back. Coming up next, we got Swamp Dweller to kick off hour number 3.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Tawney, thank you for a great conversation.
Thank you.
I hope you had fun.
I did. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to send you a private message. Just try and get you in touch with Merle there for when you're in Vancouver.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, my new best friend.
Awesome. You have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. She was amazing. Amazing. Love her. Be right back, everybody. Dave, your foot is doing weird things again. I just put my shoes on. It was just my shoes, man. All right. Oh, there's Robin Haynes. Robin Haynes on her new night. Boy, my hair looks terrible tonight. We got 1 minute. Robin Haynes. Robin Haynes. Robin Haynes. Hi, Stephanie Jackson. How are you? Robert Anthony. How are you? Jeeves. Welcome. Dave is good. Dave is good. Thank you to T-Bone ×2, Aloha, Dave, and Richard for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate the love and support. Here we go, everybody. All right, hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We really do appreciate it. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Doppelganger. Doppelganger is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I honestly can't believe I had forgotten about this. This happened back in the fall of either 2002 or 2003. When I was around 12 or 13 years old near Clinton Lake in Kansas on a Boy Scout campout. I still go backpacking and camping a lot, but this was the last camping trip I remember attending before moving states. We arrived at our campsite on a Friday and planned on staying through Saturday and leaving Sunday morning. I remember us having to set our tents up in the rain on Friday evening, but Saturday was sunny and gorgeous. I don't remember every precise detail, but right about before we went out for a hike that morning, an old van, perhaps a late 70s model, pulled into a campsite within view of ours. These guys were hippies, with a capital H, and that was my first exposure to what weed smells like. It was new to me, and some of the others were confused. We thought it was a skunk. The hippies were too far away for any of us to hear any specific conversations, but even the adult leaders found this to be a funny sight. One of the leaders, I think, went over to ask what they were doing and if they could stop using drugs in front of us or move campsites. When we got back from our day hike, those hippies were still at the same campsite, and they were super baked. They couldn't play their instruments with any skill, and it was pretty funny to see. But here's where things got weird. By the time the sun was setting, the group of stoners had completely ditched their hippie attire and dressed in a total goth style. Some had makeup that made their faces unnaturally pale, while others had black trench coats on. They must have had a stereo because all we could hear over there was grunge music playing. That night, after we cooked and ate dinner, all the scouts, including myself, headed out into an open area of the campgrounds to play Capture the Flag. We collectively established the boundaries, which were still pretty close to the group of now goths. But it gave us a different angle of their campsite. I doubt they had any idea we were there since we played no flashlights. By this point, the grunge metal had been replaced by this creepy, ominous opera music. I succumbed to curiosity, but I wasn't about to sneak into their campsite. I just crept a little closer to see what they were doing. They had made a large campfire, beyond legal limits, and I couldn't see any of the group. On a tree, I saw something that had initially freaked me out, but I figured they were still feeling the weed and any of the other drugs they may have taken. For this to be too real, and continue to play, I think we only played one game, and then retired to our tents. At some point in the middle of the night, all of our adult leaders woke us up and told us to quietly and quickly pack up our things, take down our tents, and get back to the bus. As we were packing everything up, we couldn't help but notice the bonfire was still going strong, but the music had stopped and we heard people talking. The tone didn't sound like casual conversation, no, but I couldn't hear any specific words. I don't know how to describe it. Once everyone and everything was on the bus, the driver got us the hell out of there. The adults were abnormally quiet, and the scouts had congregated to the back of the bus. I don't remember if they told us anything about it. I don't remember if one of us told the adults about those guys, but we knew it had to have been something regarding that strange group. A fellow scout from the other CTF team had also tried sneaking into their campsite and saw the same thing I did. Ever since, I'm inclined to think that what we saw was real, and a reason for us cutting the trip short. Hanging from the tree, he and I both saw a decapitated dog and 2 severed human legs. I never learned anything more about that night, but I definitely will continue to do research to see if I can't find any old newspaper clippings about it.
Swamp Dweller, spooky as ever tonight as he kicks off hour number 3 each and every night here on Spaced Out Radio. If you want more, head on over. Catch thousands of stories on his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Here comes Robin. Robin Haynes, it's good to have you on a new night here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Excited to try the Tuesdays.
Oh, it's always exciting. Always exciting with everything that we are doing and you being a big part of it. You know, you focus a lot on the cryptid world, which is why we have you here. And
Mhm.
one of the subjects that always comes up for me with a lot of people is videos.
Yeah.
There's a lot of videos out there that seem very real. There's a lot of them that seem extremely fake. The only one that I really trust is the Patterson Gimlin film being
Yeah.
real.
I
Your
see.
thoughts
I
on-
love. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I love that one. You know, that's number one. We all know it's real. I don't care how you slice it; it's real. They've got some really good films out. They do. The problem is that for all the good films they have, there's 3 times as many that aren't. Like I daily get sent film footage to find out because I can read the energy signatures. And I mean, I'm not perfect. There's no experts in this, but yeah, there's some really good footage that's out there. They have one where they've got this one that's just picking up trees and tossing them all around. And they've argued over that for a long time. And I think, you know, there's been some altering done on it, but the original one of it is actually really good and definitely looks real.
There's a couple recently that have come out over the last year and a half or so of what looks to be Bigfoot throwing trees, like
Yeah.
rummaging through the forest and throwing trees. I tend to believe that one.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I like that one very much. They're throwing the trees around not only to move them to do whatever it was trying to build, but it shows strength, kind of like, look at me, I'm the tough guy. And it would be very difficult for somebody to fake that because those trees are so darn heavy. For all these people that just got done, unfortunately, going through the hurricane season over here in the States, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, and Virginia and South Carolina. Everybody knows how heavy those trees are. You don't move those babies that easily. You've got to have something with a major amount of strength to do it.
Why are they throwing the trees to create paths for themselves, or are they throwing trees in order to show their strength and their, lack of a better term, manlyhood?
I think it depends on the situation and the individual. Now, the one that I saw where he was throwing the trees, it looked like at first he was moving trees either out of the way or to, try to do something with them. And then it looked like he just got mad and frustrated and he just started heaving them. Have I seen any that have just tossed a tree, to show how strong they are? Yeah, I actually have. I had one at my house that used to walk the same path every day. I had 10 acres. And I walked the same path every day so they knew where I was at any given time. And I'd talk to them. And they would play all kinds of games. And I'd hear them laughing. And they would go and they'd knock down trees. I'd walk by the path and I'd do the same loop like 3 times, a couple times a day. And they would knock down trees across it. And you would hear them laughing. Like they have a wicked sense of humor. And I would just kind of laugh at them and say, yeah, this is me. Look at, I'm going around the tree you knocked over. And I'd walk around it and keep going on my merry way. And I'd come back and there'd be another tree down. So, I mean, they do it for a variety of reasons. Usually if, they're trying to show strength, which means that they're tough, and that nobody wants to mess with them, they can use that, as far as a territorial thing. But there's so many different reasons why they can. I mean, they don't just snap them down. And that one that, if it's the same one that you're referring to, it looked like he was trying to move them to one spot and then he just got tired of it and he just started grabbing them and tossing them all over the place.
There's a couple of them out there, with the log throwing incidents that are going on. And, it really shows, the uniqueness of these creatures, of why they would do certain things. Like I was out in the forest on Sunday. No, it wasn't for Bigfoot or anything like that. It was just a matter of just trying to, have some time in the forest and, do a little hunting and do whatever. But one of the questions I always, kind of laugh at every time I am out there is, how much are we not seeing?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
On Sunday, we didn't see a bear. We didn't see any deer. We didn't see a moose. We didn't see much. And
Yes.
we're in an area where we know they're all there, but their camouflage and the way they can hide is incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you don't know if they're out there, you don't know what they've run off either. I had a situation about 6.5 years ago when I first moved into this house. We were in here not very long and it was hurricane season. And we had this huge pine tree. It was like 30, 40-foot pine tree. I live in a pine tree forest to begin with. And it was already at an angle when we moved in. And with a hurricane coming in, it would have hit. There's no way it would not have taken out the bonus room above the garage. Just absolutely no way, because it's already leaned that way. And we were trying to find somebody that could already come in and take it down anyway. And we had no way to get it down. It was just too big. And I remember going outside and jokingly, I mean, I didn't think it actually happened. I just said, hey guys, could really use some assistance on this or it's going to squish the house, And I said it jokingly because I would have never dreamt they would have done anything. And I was in the garage and it was like a big wind that just gushed in through the window. And I thought, oh my gosh, the hurricane's here a day early. I went out there and not only was that tree down, which the first thing you think of is it fell down on its own. Trees don't fall down and then pull back so that the trunk of it is 15 feet from where the stump is. It didn't roll. It was like something snapped it, lifted it up, pulled it back, and that trunk was a good 15 feet or more past where the stump was that was still in the ground. Trees don't fall like that. They can't lift themselves up the trunk and back up and then lay down. You know, they just fall down. But it was very evident. And I remember Igor Borstev came out not long after that, and he was floored. I said, I would love to say there's an easy explanation. I just thought the tree fell down, and I was thankful it missed the house, until I went out there and I was like, what in the world? And the branches that were towards the top of it that should have hit the house, those never hit the house, but they had been snapped and bent back the opposite way that you would have thought. Like, once we examined it, Igor was out here, we went over all of it. He was floored. He's like, there's no way this could have happened like this. You know, the fact that they could lift it, if it was indeed them, I mean, we didn't see them do it. So, yeah, you have to take that into consideration, but nothing else made sense. And that tree was so heavy, we could not move it to roll it. That's how heavy it was. And yet, not only was it over, but the base of that trunk, opposed to where it was with that stump, was a good 15, 20 feet back.
No kidding.
It was crazy. We have pictures of it somewhere. Igor was floored. And then he was the one that looked at the top branches because the tree was already down. And he's like, they wouldn't bend like that. If they hit something, they would snap up. These were snapped down and tucked up underneath the tree. I mean, it was just unbelievable. He was floored. I was like, I don't know what to tell you.
The encounters that we have, we're starting to see a lot more that are filmed, as we talked about a couple of moments ago. You say you can read film pretty good. How do you tell something that's real from a hoax?
It really and truly is not as easy as people think it is. I read energy signatures, so there's that. But even that aside, none of us get it right all the time. But I look at the neck. I want to see the neck ratio from where that head's sitting at into the shoulders, into the clavicle. I want to see length of arms. I want to see where the hair stops at when it gets to the wrist going on to the hands. I want to see the muscles in the face to see if it makes sense, because there are certain muscle patterns. I really get like nitty gritty on it. I mean, they're all different 100%. Some of them look more human. Some of them look more ape. Some have the conial head. Some don't. But I get really, really picky. I want to see the shoulder width. I want to see the way it sits. I want to see when the movement, there's a certain movement pattern that I know that they're going to do. So I want to see that as well. So I get where I just section it off and look at absolutely every little thing, movement wise. And they are very fluid when they move, but there's a certain way that they move even when they're fluid. So it's just, I've seen them enough. And again, I'm not an expert, but I've seen them enough to know the probability of movement on it. Do we get it right all the time? No, we don't. We're all human. But I do break it down. I don't just look at it and say, yeah, that looks kind of real, or it doesn't. I also look at the hair. Sasquatch has hair. They don't have fur. So that's a huge, huge difference. And the ones that I've had up close that were walking near me, that hair, unless it's a really thick hair, which some of them can be, it is the muscles flex. I've literally watched the hair fall apart over the muscles as they walk and they move, and the shoulders move back and forth, almost like they're skiing. And I would watch the hair separate over the muscles. Even the ones with thick hair, the way that hair moves, when those muscles move as they move, you can tell it's not faked. On a suit, that does not happen.
Very true. Very true. Okay, here's a weird question that I've never asked you. How come some Sasquatch don't have necks? It's just shoulders and this giant conical head.
Yeah, it's just the way they sit. I mean, they really are. I mean, it's not that they don't have a neck, but they have these huge shoulders, and it sits down. It just sits down almost like it's nestled in there. I've only seen one that had really any amount of neck to it at all, and it still wasn't a longer neck like ours. It was still short, but for the most part, they don't. It just almost looks like they have no neck. You know, when they go to turn, that's another thing you look for in the videos. When they go to turn, they can't turn their head like we do, like this. They just can't do it. They've got to turn, but then their shoulder movement goes with it and almost follows it in order to be able to turn that head. Like if you've been around them enough to watch their movements, it makes it a little bit easier on the videos. You know, you do see a couple of them that might have a little bit longer neck than others, but for the most part, they don't. And when they turn, even if you watch the Patty film, when Patty goes to turn her head, there is a large turn with the shoulders as well. It's not like us because we have a longer neck. We can just turn it and it's really easy and you can go back and forth. You know, they don't have that kind of movement in the neck. It's just like you hear people and they're like, well, these are vocals from a Sasquatch. You know what? I get people that send me vocals all the time. Again, not an expert in it. They have a bigger voice range. They can go higher and they can go lower. But the thing that they can't fake is when we talk, it comes from the upper part of our throat where our voice box is. When they talk, it comes from down here deep in the clavicle. So it's, I mean, not that the pitch matters, of course, but like I said, they can go higher and they can go lower. I verbally talk to these things and you can always tell when they speak because that guttural sound comes from down here by the clavicle. It doesn't come from up in the throat. And it's the same thing when it comes to the movement in the neck. It's just the way their body is. It sits way down. And then on top of it, they've already got a short neck structure. They've got massive muscles. From that shoulder blade to the what little bit of a neck they have, the muscles are immense. So that buries it, you know, anything that looks like a neck too.
I never looked at it that way. Never looked at it that way.
Yeah, I mean, you get occasionally some that have a little bit of length to the neck and they'll turn, but they don't have the turning motion that we do. They really don't. Even the ones that have a little bit more of a neck. You know, there's that one, it's one of my favorite videos. It's of a black female and she's got a little black baby and she's behind the boulders and she's picking up the baby and walking out and you see her turn her head a little bit. And hers has got more fluidity to it than a lot of them do. But I don't doubt for 2 seconds that film's real. There's nothing in that film that says to me that it's not. But even with that being said, that her neck was a little bit longer, she still, when she turns, those shoulders move too. Watch the body movements. You know, for people that have seen these beings actually out and about and have had enough contact, it becomes much easier for them. And everybody, just for the record, everybody can get it wrong on these films and videos. They really can. You know, there's nobody so perfect that they're going to get it right all the time. But when you are around them, you know, when you see them, of course, you're all excited and you're just kind of standing there with your mouth dropped open going, oh, look what I see. Look what I see. Take it in. Look at the way the hair moves on the body. Look at the way their body moves. Look at the fluidity. Look and what part of, even though when they're moving in their fluid, there's still parts of them that seem tight in movement. Look to see where the muscles are flexing. Same thing with their face. They have certain muscles in their face. Check it out. And then you'll find that it makes it a lot easier with the videos. And again, none of us are foolproof on the videos. We do the best we can with what we've got, but it does make it easier to tell.
No kidding. We got about a minute to go here, and I already see some questions piling up in our chat room. Our chat is very active tonight, so we're going to get to a couple of those when we return. But this being, does it hang out with other cryptids, whether it's the little people, the forest dwellers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You have some clans that'll just isolate themselves. It's not impossible. But, you know, they're all together. They're all feeding off frequency and energy. I know certain areas, you know, the dogmen and the Sasquatch don't interact. I've never lived any place where they didn't. I've seen the hybrids where they've bred with each other, you know, so it's just, yeah, I mean, they're all frequency and energy beings. So they're all kind of hanging together. It's like here, the last week and a half, we've got UFOs everywhere. It's like insane, crazy right now.
On that note, Robin, hold on right there. We are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour, final break of the night on Spaced Out Radio. The Cryptid Report with Robin Haynes continues right after this. My name is Dave Scott, having a blast broadcasting the weird high strangeness to you tonight.
This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
Yay, us. That's good stuff. Good stuff right there. Good stuff right there. All right. There we go. What a good night. It's been a fun night.
Good. Now you had Daryl on tonight, didn't you?
No, I had Tawney Lewis, a paranormal investigator out of Hollywood.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Oh, I wish I would have seen it. Yeah. I'll have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, she's a gooder. She's a gooder. I just had my lower back worked on tonight, and it feels like it popped out again.
Oh, no.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's a bad.
Or it's either that or it's how can I put it? It's just inflamed from being worked on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I used to go to the chiropractor, and it's helpful, but when you first do it, you risk it popping right back out again.
Oh, I know.
I start work on the conference next month.
Nice.
So I know. I'll get your contract ready for you and get it over to.
Can I come?
Yes, you're definitely coming. Not doing it without you. We've got a good list this year.
Who's coming? Are you allowed to say?
Well, this is the tentative list. I mean, it's subject to change, but this is who everybody's verbally confirmed. I got to get contracts to everybody. We've got you, Christian McLeod, Daryl Denton's coming. We have Rob Kreider coming. Christy Sci-Fi is coming. We have asked L.A. Marzulli, and he has said, corresponding that he was going to, but I'm going to get the contract over to him. And I'm trying to think, we've got more than that. I mean, we've got a full roster this year. So I'm really excited. We should have a good time. Already getting everything ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're excited. And if I forgot anybody, sorry. It's late at night here. But I don't have my book in front of me. But we did, from last year, we invited, Blaine Tyler and his wife Lisa's coming back. So that'll be great. I'm excited about that. I knew I had more people. But we brought you back, Christian McLeod, Rob Kreider, and Blaine and Lisa from last year. Of course, I'm there. I don't necessarily know if I speak at all, which I don't know that I'm going to this year. I've got a full house. I probably won't. I may get up on stage with Christy for a few minutes, but that's about it. But I will be there. And it's looking really good. It's looking really good. So I'm really pleased. They're building a casino over there, and we're hoping that it will be done on time, because if it is, we're going to see if we can get rooms there to book for everybody.
If you have room for one more, or you're looking for one more, I would love to recommend Jackie Harmon.
Oh, I don't know her.
She is part of my team here.
Oh, I'd love to meet her.
And Jackie actually had an experience earlier this year on Mount Adams. She's been researching Sasquatch for 50 years.
Oh, lovely.
Like, she started when she was 4 years old in the forest with her dad. And she actually had a situation earlier this year where she actually got groped in her tent by a Sasquatch.
Oh, yeah. They used to, I went one time, and I had been invited to another place in Nebraska, and we camped out in tents. And I can remember I was laying down, and they put their hand where the tent was at. They were on the outside of the tent, and they were like doing this rubbing on my head. Like,
well, this one started at her ankles, worked its way up to her butt, gave her butt a squeeze,
Oh,
and then yeah. But there was so much activity there, and she's got such great knowledge and understanding, and just a beautiful person. I think
yeah,
you would
I'd love to talk to her. I'd love to talk to her sometime. And if we can't get her this year, there's nothing to say we couldn't get her next year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're going to do this every year there. And now that we're over in Grand Island, we've got so much more room. And depending on how it goes this year, we might have to go and switch again for the third time to a bigger room. So yeah, we're pretty geeked up about it. I'm like I said, I'm really hopeful that the casino would wake up or be up done.
Sorry about that. I have to cut you off right there because we're about to come back.
Okay.
But if you read the comments in our chat room, they'll tell you how awesome Jackie is.
Okay.
Final half hour Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're talking to Robin Haynes on the Crypted Report, all about the monsters among us. As we have fun here on the mighty SOR. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on any major podcast network as well. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's Robin Haynes hanging out with us, talking all things cryptid and monsters, and we absolutely love it every time she is here on her new night. Robin, welcome back.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited about the Tuesday night, and I love it here. It's like, old home week every time I'm here. So everybody's so great. And the listeners on this show are phenomenal. So
They are. They're really good looking. Really good looking. We got a good looking audience. Let's start off with a couple of questions here from our audience.
Sounds good. Bring them.
If I can find them now. There they are. Mike Bothwell is asking, Robin, if you had the money to send a stool sample of Bigfoot, what institute and or scientist would you trust the most?
The only one I let handle, I've actually had samples of stools before. I've had blood samples and hair samples, and the only one I will let touch them is Melba Ketchum. So, she knows how to run them. I don't care what anybody says. I know because I worked on the study. I'm working on the cryptid study with her right now. We have that going on as well. And, very few people actually know how to run them. They have to be done a certain way. Otherwise, you're not going to get the full results. And so, yeah, she is the only one I trust with any of the samples that I've ever turned in. I've had offers to send them other places. I won't do it.
We all know of Dr. Jeff Meldrum. We know of Dr. Melba Ketchum.
Mm-hmm.
Are there a lot of other college scientists that are looking for cryptids?
You know what? I don't work with any other ones but Dr. Ketchum. I just don't. I remember when we did the first study, I think there's like Todd Disatal, and then Brian Sykes. And of course, I think if I remember correctly, Brian Sykes has passed away. And it's just, they say they know how to run them, but yet if they knew how to run them, my own opinion is, why is she the only one that ever did the 3 genomes? So, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Because I was on the inside track with the study, I know how thorough it was, regardless of what the public, when they attacked everybody. I know the links that were done to make sure there was no contamination. And there's no place else I'll send my samples. Like I said, we've got another study going right now for anybody that has samples, but it's a cryptid genome study is what it's called. And we're taking samples from absolutely everything. Right now we're focused on the dogmen. Those are being run. They're not back yet. But yeah, that's the only one I would trust. I could have sent my other samples to various places, and I had no desire to do it. Like I said, I know how the process works there. I know how careful they are with everything. And I know that she knows how to test it. And the thing is, she's not the only one that's testing it. We're sending it out as well. She's not, it's like she's not the one that's solely doing these samples. And she wasn't in the first study either. They went to the top labs in the country. She was not the only one that did it. But I know that they're taken care of there. I know how they're handled. So that's the only place I send them.
Interesting. I thought there would be a lot more. I know there was some sort of study going on in, I believe it was New Mexico, regarding this topic.
Yeah, there's labs out there that will do them. In fact, Melba and I had talked about the different labs at one time. But as far as to really know what they're doing, I just don't trust anybody else. Like I said, I know the procedures that she uses, and I'm just comfortable with it. And I know she knows what she's doing. And I was around her when she did the first study. So yeah, that's the only place I send mine. It's hard to really find a lot of people that will do it. I mean, they'll make an attempt at it, but the truth is, it's a newer thing. There's not been a lot of studies on them. And anybody that's tested even the Sasquatch at this point, they come back and they're like, well, we're getting human in it. It's got to be contaminated. No, wake up. It's getting human in it because the mitochondrial side is human. That's why. You're always going to get some form of human in it because that's what it is. So, like I said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I send all my samples there.
Let's move on to another question. Let's go to Paramarv. Robin, do the forest people ever give you information about earth changes or natural disasters, such as a hurricane?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get it all the time. I get it before bad storms. I get it before the hurricane. The energy shift, when that went down, and it's, it's been coming for a while, but it really got intense in March and again in April. They are constantly letting me know. Yeah, they sense things before they hit. They're very in tune with the earth. They feel the vibrations from the earth, the frequency. And so, yeah, they have no problem letting me know. And we still have some more disasters coming.
Most other animals, where they can sense the disaster coming or the pending weather changes or the weather patterns?
Well, I think, to a degree, yes. Of course, they're no more animal than we are because they're a human hybrid, but they are very in tune with the earth. And when the frequencies change, when the energy changes, there's something major going on. And, and more people are realizing this as well. Energy and frequency, that's everything. There's nothing in this world, in any other world, in the galaxies or anything that has not got energy and frequency in it. Your toothbrush has a frequency. It's that simple. And where we are at 3D and we're now all going into 4 and hopefully 5D, they are at a much higher level than that. So they're highly tuned and skilled when it comes to frequency. And they can tell a change in it in an absolute heartbeat, and then they can narrow in on what it is. So yeah, they really are. I mean, animals in the woods, you notice, whenever there's a big problem coming, they act differently. But when it comes to Sasquatch and the other cryptids, it's even more so. It really and truly is more so because they're so highly in tune with it that they will, and they'll come and warn us. And lots of people that I know of have been warned before things happened.
All right, let's go to Lee. And his question is this: how would you know if there were Sasquatch samples? Is there a database test sample?
They're getting one gathered from the samples that have been turned in. Again, I'm not a scientist, guys, so I can only take you so far with this. I can tell you what I know, but that's it. I am definitely not a scientist. But there is getting more of the databases from it. They break it down. That's how they found out that the mitochondrial side, which is mom, is human. The father side is considered unknown. There is nothing in any database that a scientist has access to that will match that father's side. So, you know, there is a database, but it's going to show the mom's side. I wish there was something that would show the dad's. Do I believe that there is? I absolutely do. But I also believe that the government has it under wraps. And there's certain things that they find in the DNA that flag to them that, you know, it's a Sasquatch.
Where are those DNA samples or evidentiary samples stored? Like, we know obviously they're at the University of Idaho with Dr. Jeff Meldrum.
Right.
Melba, some, but are all universities storing these studies?
You know, I can't speak for all universities. I would imagine if they have any type of a scientific program, they would. But I don't, in my personal opinion, you know, it's just my own opinion, I don't think all the universities have them. No, I think you have to have a department that's going to work with them. I worked with a professor out of North Carolina. Now he has samples there, as far as I know of. And he's wonderful. We may come from different sides of the coin as far as our opinion of what they are, but we get along fabulously. I mean, he's a wonderful person, and he's out of North Carolina, and he does have samples there as well. So there are other projects that are doing them, but I've not seen any other project that are really getting a lot of results. The farthest I've seen anybody take it is, oh, there's human in it. There's contamination. Okay, well, what about the dad's side? You know, nobody's saying that the human is on the mom. They're just saying, you know, there's human in it. It's got to be contaminated. That's not enough. The entire sample needs to be tested, and there should be more information. And so far, and I would love to hear from other places that they have gone and done the genomes on it, but so far the only one that's done it is Dr. Ketchum. I'm not saying anybody else is wrong, so don't take it that way. I'm not knocking anybody down. I'm just saying that for the places that are trying to get them done, I've not heard. Of course, I'm, you know, don't talk to a lot of them, but I've not heard of anybody that has even mentioned whether or not the human was on the mom's side, or they couldn't get anything on the dad or anything. I just hear, well, it's human and it's contaminated.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Let's go to another question. Jennifer wants to know, Robin, have you heard of anyone, or if anyone has tried to catch one or has caught one to study?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's always trying to catch one. Number one, they have paranormal abilities. It makes it extremely difficult. Two, even if you got them in a cage, these are so strong and they cloak. It makes it very difficult. Now, Berkeley, and I think, and don't get on me about the date because I'm terrible with dates. I think it was back in the 60s, but I could be wrong. But Berkeley College actually did catch one, and they had it in a cage. I spoke with, when we did the first study, I actually spoke with a gentleman who was retired that was a security guard for that project. And he had said to me, he's probably now deceased because he was old when I talked to him, but he had said to me that they caught it, they had it in a cage. At that time, they did not realize that they had these paranormal abilities. And they had it in a cage. They had tried to keep it sedated so that it could not escape. And it was in a lower level of the college, and it cloaked in the cage one day. And they did not know anything about the cloaking capabilities. They opened the cage to try to figure out how in the world this thing got out. And it simply walked out of the cage on its own while it was cloaked. They found out that it had done it because it got out of the room that they were in and was running down the hallway and uncloaked while running down the hallway. And a lot of people saw it, and people were screaming and in a panic. And it actually broke out by going through a plate glass window. And they said they saw it running around campus for a couple weeks and they never saw it again. You know, the government too, excuse me, the government has underground bunkers all over the place. I mean, not just here in the States, but everywhere. And I was told by a government intel person back in 2000, like, I want to say 12 or 13, that the government had bought up thousands of acres in the western states and were building underground bunkers there. And they already had them places. That wasn't the only place to house them, study them. I do know there was genetic breeding going on. They were crossing them with other things for military use. So yeah, they've had them. The government has all kinds of stuff. But as far as a regular person trying to do it, they're not, if they have them, nobody really knows about it. It's not very successful. You know, it would be very difficult with the paranormal abilities, the strength, what you would have to contain them in. I don't even know that you can make anything strong enough for it.
We got about 6 minutes to go here on Spaced Out Radio. Super Crazy wants to know, do you like the movie Harry and the Hendersons?
Oh yeah, Harry's adorable. Very unrealistic. I will say that. Totally unrealistic, but you got to love Harry. Harry's awesome. I don't think there's anything in there that's realistic, but it was a great show. I remember when it was on, I loved it.
Do you think that Sasquatch and people could be friends?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, we have to understand that even when we're friendly with them, they're not going to walk up to you while you're sitting on your back porch and shake your hand and sit down and have something to drink with you. They're just not gonna. You know, I mean, I interact with them all the time, and it's, you know, they're watching from the bushes. Have I had them come out in the yard? I have. You know, they've come up to me, but it's not like everybody wishes it would be. It's not like this, oh, I see you, and I'm just going to walk up to you. It doesn't work like that. You know, I'm sure there's people out there somewhere that have habituated with them, that have gotten, you know, results where they come close. I can get them to come close to me, but I can't, it's not like I can call them and they're going to show up. They do what they want, when they want, how they want, and what they feel they want to do. You know, Shadow walked up to me out in the middle of my yard, walked 10 feet from me and just stood there and stared at me for like 10, 15 minutes. You know, Sadie brought the baby, did the same thing. I had another one that it was nighttime and actually came up and he actually put his hand on my wrist. Does that happen often for me? Absolutely not. And they've been around me my whole life. I mean, they got closer to me when I was a child. When I grew up, it was a little bit more intimidating. I can go out in the backyard at night when I let the dogs out, and they love my dogs. I don't have any issues with them with the dogs. And the other night there was one out there and he was standing in all the bushes. You know, I could see the outline of him, and he would walk up and down the fence line. And, you know, I could see him that way. Or I've seen him doing the belly crawl across the backyard, but they're not going to just come up and, you know, wave at you and say, hey, here I am, let's sit down and have dinner. That's not ever going to happen. You know, I mean, it's at their discretion when they want to do it, how they want to do it, and what that clan allows them to do. Some clans will not allow the members of the clan to have contact with humans, our type of humans.
Don't blame them.
Yeah, it depends on the individual.
Let's go to Derek. Robin, have you heard of the War of 1855 between Native Americans and the Sasquatch?
I have not heard of that one specifically. What I have heard of is there's tribes that they got along quite well with. There's tribes that they didn't get along at all, and they would try to steal each other's children, and they fought and fought and fought with them. Most of the Native American tribes, I will say this, they would barter and trade with. But there were certain groups that they absolutely did not get along with, and there was a lot of fighting between them. But there's more that would do the bartering between them and get along copacetically with everybody than there were the fighting. But I have heard of, you know, 2 or 3 different absolute wars that it was just an absolute nightmare that they fought and fought and fought.
And then fought some more.
Yep. Well, it was a Sunday. They took a 2-hour break and then they started up. But they would steal each other's, you know, I don't think the Native Americans ever went after the Sasquatch food, but the Sasquatch would go after the food from the Native Americans. And they would grab each other's children, is what I was always told. More so probably from the Sasquatch grabbing a Native American's child than the other. But they did not get along. You know, there was several places that it just did not work at all, which is unfortunate because I would say 70% of First Nations or Native Americans had respect from the Sasquatch and respected them. And they got along fairly well. whether it was they each kept their own distance, but they were respectful of each other being around them, or they interacted. But there were some of the wars, and I've heard talk about it, the Sasquatch have talked about it, where they fought venomously. They really did.
2 minutes to go here. We got a few people asking where your YouTube channel is, where your information is. So I'll get you to put that out.
Yeah, I don't have a YouTube channel, guys. I'm sorry. Everybody keeps asking me, and I just don't have time to maintain one. If you want to work with me or use my services, I'm at www.paranormal-empowerment.com. If you just want to talk to me, I'm under Robin Haynes on Facebook, Haynes, no middle initial, and you can reach me that way.
And in between time and in meantime and in between time, you can always find her right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Yep, you got it.
Each and every week, which is always fun.
Yep, I love it here.
Well, we kind of like you here too. I hope you. I think you've noticed.
Yeah, well, I love you guys, so I hope you notice that too. You're stuck with me.
What are you being for Halloween?
Do you know what? I was going to be something, and then I didn't, and I decided I'll just be a crazy mother of 8, which is what I am. So all my kids are grown, but I can still get away with it. Yeah, so I went to a fantastic Halloween party with a very dear friend of mine on Sunday, and his family that are always so gracious to me. And I didn't even get a chance to dress up. I had planned on it, but my granddaughter, I have a 19-year-old granddaughter, and 2 years ago, she swiped my Halloween costume. I was Eeyore. So I never got a chance to get another one this year. So, but I'm going to have a good time. I'm going out of town with friends for the day or for the night.
Nice. I will be taking my boy out. Trick or treat.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. He's decided that he wants to be the scary, creepy monster from the movie Scream.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
My 1-year-old granddaughter is going to be Moana this year. So this ought to be fun. We'll see the grandkids, the kids and the grandkids, when you've got them right there with you, that's the best way to have Halloween. Once they're out of the house, it's not nearly as fun.
Oh, I know, but it's still good.
Oh, yeah,
it's
definitely.
Good.
The Sasquatch get a little wigged out. I will say that. Any of the ones that I've been around, because they don't understand why the vibration on people feel like people, but then they look so weird.
Good boy. Robin Haynes, everybody. As we now say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Saul. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X at #SpacedOutRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. The seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Robin Haynes. Good job.
Always nice to be here. I love you guys.
We love you too.
And I will see you next Tuesday.
All right.
Okay, babe.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye-bye. Robin Haynes, everybody. I love her. Love her. Great questions tonight from all of you. Seriously. Not totally, but seriously. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Tired. Me eyes are killing me. You know what I'm addicted to right now? I go to bed every night listening to the Iceman documentaries of Richard Kuklinski, the mob hitman. It's so twisted and scary. Totally. Totally twisted and scary. Be right with you, people. All right, let's go this way. All right, that's all set. Do 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 do. I mean, that dude did everything. It's a number 2 on the sides, and I got her to take an inch off the top. See if we can form it, because there's still wax in my hair. Night the Michael Leger. The Michael Leger. I'll try and post it up for you. Gel the hell out of it tomorrow. Excuse me. Wait for you to fall. All right, guys. Big thank you tonight to T-Bone times 3, CS, Major Lee, Aloha, Dave, and Richard. I'm going to book out early here for just because my eyes are they're really strained and bugging me right now. Excuse me. So I'm going to bug out here. And don't forget, if you're new here, hit subscribe, ring that bell. And tomorrow night on the show, Charlie Misha joins us. We are going to talk about Lost Monster Files. Oh, this is going to be good. It's going to be good. Charlie Misha. Cool. Good job, Dirty. See you tomorrow night, everybody. Love y'all. Jennifer, I didn't see your question. What is your question? I just saw that. How do you spell Haynes? I put it in the chat room. There you go. There you go. Go. All right. I go now. Bye.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.